Yeah, I put them on even the wrong way. Yeah, just so the wires. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you have to make sure. Well, from like your vocal experience. These have to be.
My talking voice is very low, very.
You have
quiet.
to. So then make sure this thing's close to you. Mm-hmm. Like about that, and then an angle that you. Yeah.
More like that.
Yeah, you could hear it.
1 2 1 2. Yes.
1. Now you do that so the audio lines up easier with the video.
Do I have to do that?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
Like when they do the movies, they do the.
Yes.
I never realized that was actually just because that sound.
Oh really?
It makes like a jump in the thing, and then because the cameras are recording the audio, and so is the mics, but they're independent of each other. So what happens is they when you line it up on the app, like or whatever, like if you don't do it, it'll still do it because it looks for like similar waveforms, the software. But if you give like a loud bang, it like gives like clean areas because those are recording too, and then so is this, and then it's like, oh, let's line it up on that wave,
Okay, cool. So that your speaking is not behind the video, that you mean? Or
yeah, because the audio that you're using for the recording is independent of the camera. Mm-hmm. You're like putting in like a clean recorded audio on, so you're essentially just muting the video, and then after you mute the video, it has no sound, so you put in separate MP3 file, So if it's off a little bit, it would look weird. But there's like software that just does it for you, but it takes like 20 minutes or something of like encoding and figuring it out. So if you make like loud bangs, it has easier things to find. If that makes any sense.
Okay, now it makes sense. Yes.
It's like nerd tech shit.
Well, you're a nerd, so.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is true.
I think it's good to be a nerd.
Yeah? Why do you say that?
I think that nerds rule the world, essentially.
Yeah, how so?
Well, because you have to... What is a nerd? Nerd is someone who is very, very into something, very passionate about something.
So that is how you define nerd. I guess it makes sense.
Or a dork.
Well, what's the difference between a nerd and a dork?
My husband told me that if you are into like pop shit culture, you're a dork.
Okay.
If you're into like math and history or something like that, you're a nerd.
Okay. So pop culture, like so Star Wars dork?
Dork.
Not a nerd.
See, I don't know. I also
because
didn't
I always
grow up
heard
in this
nerd.
country, and I don't really know. Like certain terminology misses me.
So what is the
I've been saying lone moaner for my entirety of my life.
Lone moaner? What's that mean?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know that it's mower.
Oh, mower. M-O. Oh, okay. You were saying moaner.
Yeah, so don't ask me about words.
So because when you first heard the word, you just heard it one way.
Moaner, yeah.
Yeah. I actually think that's funny. Like when I would text Sivak or something or someone else who spoke Russian first, and they would say a word like I remember one time he said to me "mazerfucker" for motherfucker, like MAZERFACKER. But it was almost like cute to me because it's like he just heard it and then tried to spell it, but like didn't actually know the root word. So it's that you just heard someone say like lawnmower one time and you're like, oh, the lawnmower.
My husband is taking a piss on me all the time when I say something wrong. He's like, I'm like, what did I say?
The good old golden shower, huh?
Yeah.
So like a lawn moaner to me reminds me like, like you just bought a new house in a nice suburban neighborhood and like you keep hearing the woman next door behind her privacy fence moaning, and then you kind of get over it.
And she's laying on the lawn or something.
Just fucking touching herself on the lawn, moaning, and be like, oh, it's a real fucking lawn moaner over there.
That's the thing. It's right there. If you see it, sometime you got to text me and be like, Jerrra, there you have it. It exists.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. If I go down to Zilker Park here, there's quite a few lawn moaners.
What's a Zilker Park?
Just a big park here. Oh. It's like the Central Park of Austin,
The first time I came, I went to this place where a guy built a house and a structure in front of house out of junk.
Here.
Yeah.
Like a homeless house, or it was like more of an art thing, you're saying?
It's an art thing.
Oh, okay.
But he collected all that junk and put it together in a structure that you can climb on top of and like walk around. There are rooms in it and stuff like this. It's so cool. I have no idea where it's at, but I think it's called like a museum of junk or something.
It's still here, you think?
I wonder. I don't know. Because you had to pay like $10 to get in there.
So it might have just been like a temporary art thing.
It looks like it took years to put
So
together.
they didn't just move it, probably. You know, it kind of reminds me of like, who's the guy in Spain? We went to his like thing where he built, I don't know if you know, are familiar with that. I forget his name and I should know it, but it was like a museum, but he built it like same thing, but not at a junk, but just like real like art. You've probably seen pictures of it before.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know why I can't think of it.
I don't know.
But I'm gonna have to look into that because I see a lot of fucking. I thought you were talking about like some dude on the side of I-35 who built a house, because I see that too. You know.
It's more of a New York thing too.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's a San Francisco thing. The first time I went to San Francisco, I was on the street, on the sidewalk, passing by, just looking at buildings, and then I'm in the middle of somebody's living room.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, there's a bed, there's a kitchen. I'm like, oh shit.
Just on the sidewalk.
Just on a sidewalk. They're building structures and stuff. And there used to be a lot more tents here too.
Yeah, they definitely cleaned it up a bit here, right? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you would know because I think they did that after I moved here. So I'm not, but everyone tells me that it was like pretty bad. And I was like, oh, damn.
It was like you sit in a cenote, drinking a latte, looking at just a tent city outside.
Yeah.
It's
Right
crazy.
over there, yeah.
Just on this street, yeah. But right by the soup kitchen's still there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you always see that. I know Sean always jokes about the Cesar Chavez. That's the name of the street that it's on. He's like, he always gets off that exit. And he was like, man, he's like, there's a guy over there. He's got 2 tents. One is his pantry. The other one's like where he lives.
They build stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
I watched a video about how people cross the border between Mexico into United States, and they live in tunnels, and they build little houses there where they do have like kitchens and bathrooms and this and that. It's crazy because sometimes they can get stuck in there like in a limbo for months.
Oh, in the tunnel. But are they like built into the tunnel? Like whoever built the tunnel put them there for that reason? Or
No.
you're saying people just do it at a
People just
desperation?
do it because they're stuck in there. They can't. I don't know. They can't go into the States. They get deported back to this like limbo in between.
I see. So they're like, get out of here, and then they go back into the tunnel. But like, we don't want to go back there.
I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, it's really interesting, though, I guess, if you think about like what people are willing to do to escape from
There
a
are
bad
plenty
situation.
of Russian immigrants, Russian, Ukrainian, and like from these countries who are taking that route from Mexico into the
now.
United States in like a back of the van,
Yeah.
paying off like $10,000 to this dude who is like transferring like 20 people.
The coyotes.
Coyotes, yes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So
I always wanted to
dangerous.
like look more, like do more research into that. Like that kind of stuff fascinates me. Like it's like one of the things I would look up on YouTube at night. Right now I've been really obsessed with watching tornadoes.
Okay.
Yeah, just like literally
Random.
just yeah. But I could just spend hours going down rabbit holes about tornadoes.
That's cool.
And then I posted it on my Instagram, and I woke up and my mother called me in the morning, and she was like, "Please don't get into storm chasing," because she knows, you know, her kid is like, you know, how nuts, like, you know, if I get into something, it's like,
There are people who are, right?
yeah, and I'm very fascinated with them. I like started following a bunch of them on YouTube
Yeah.
because it's like I think an adrenaline that's really unrivaled, right? Like, how could you achieve such adrenaline by being like 100 yards from like a E5 twister? You know what I mean? Like, that's intense. Like,
It's amazing. It's probably the same kind of adrenaline that you get from riding like a huge wave as a surfer.
Yeah.
Something so close to like just complete obliteration.
Exactly.
Death.
I think there's very few things that probably can achieve that sensation.
For sure.
My only worry with like feeling that kind of sensation is like when you're not feeling it. Like, imagine you like I guess that's why people get addicted to like adrenaline things, right? Because like now it's like a drug, but like you actually have to do that to get it.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it's like, well, I just experienced being like by a tornado, and I want more of that adrenaline. What do I do?
Oh,
Like,
you experienced it?
no,
Also?
I didn't. But like, I'm fucking thinking about it.
Oh, shit.
That's why my mother called me and was like, dude, like,
Stop right now.
right
Whatever
now.
you're doing.
Yeah.
You're like with the suitcase. Oh, fuck.
if there's anyone that she's ever known or most people knew it that would go build like a fucking storm chasing vehicle, it might be me. So I'm like, you know.
No, yeah. You like obsess over things. If you're into something, you go a little too far.
Exactly. Yeah.
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah, I do that. I recently didn't read. I listened to an audiobook by Steve-O.
Steve-O, yeah.
And he has the same problem, and he was describing it, and I was like, oh my God. He like put it into words, what I was trying to understand about myself, that he's like, whatever I do, I take it too far. He was addicted to sex, and then he became addicted to abstinence. He didn't have sex for like a year and a half.
Yeah, just anything he does, it's like absolute.
Just absolutely too far. And I feel like if I, let's say, like an artist, I will look at everything they ever done, director, watch all of the movies, writer, read all of the books. Like, I just like, for everything you do, I just want to know. And then until I get sick of a person or a song or a band, and then I just can't stand it for like a few years. I have to let it go.
Yep.
Before I can go back to it again, be like, okay, yeah, I remember liking it a little too much.
Yeah, that's I'm coming back around to the Deftones right now because I listen to them so fucking much, like on repeat. And now I'm like on that. It took 3-4 years and I'm back, you know?
I still can't listen to hip hop.
No, you went hard with the hip hop. Yeah. Like what? Like underground hip hop or yeah.
Well, every once and again, I will do like a day in the shop where we would listen to like Nas or Mobb Deep or something like that. And it still feels good. But it almost feels just like I just know it too well. And it just like also gives you flashback from a certain time period in your life. And like, it's interesting. It feels good and bad at the same time. You're like, one day is enough. Okay, no more. Like
yeah, I love that feeling when you get that nostalgic from a song. Like it brings you right back to the like the feeling where you were like when you were in like grade school or something, and you had like a young crush or something, and you're like walking down the street with like your headphones on,
and you feel
like,
heartbroken.
Yeah, or like butterflies in your stomach, or you get that with smells too.
Oh yeah.
But when you combine the two, it's like the ultimate nirvana.
I was actually thinking about smells today because I went to the gym yesterday, and the specific smell of the gym is just so interesting because in the beginning, before everybody works out, everyone smells like laundry. And then after, everybody smells like shit.
So there's like a transition from laundry to shit somewhere.
Yeah, you almost can sense it if you walk in and you know, has there been a class or it's about to begin? Because at first, everybody smells like laundry because everyone's trying to clean out their shit and come in clean. And then after, everybody just smells like socks and fucking dog shit.
It goes from dawn to duty real quick. That would be the good title of like a book about gyms, Dawn to Duty. How one goes from smelling like laundry to smelling like shit quickly.
I almost don't understand. I feel like you can only wear your workout clothes for like 5 times. And then every time you wear it, even if it's clean, you work out for like 15 minutes, you start to stink. It's like, oh my God, the smell just does not go out.
Oh, but after you wash it, it resets? Okay. Is it like a ghee?
Even just a sports bra.
Oh, because you don't always, it's just anything you're wearing while you're in the gym.
Yeah, it just becomes like, it smells clean, smells like laundry. 15 minutes in, it just fucking stinks.
Like there's no gradual like onset of stink. It just goes from like no stink to like max stink.
Yes. You're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, we used to play hockey as kids, and we used to go to this place. It was called Inline Skating Club of America, and it was in Wallington, New Jersey. And it was a hockey rink, but indoor. And it was just embedded with like 20 years of just ball sack sweat. Like it smelled like a foot rubbed on someone's nutsack, and you could smell it from the fucking parking lot. Like just disgusting. Like it was like microwaved Cheetos.
Oh
like
my God.
It was disgusting. It literally just stunk like that in there. And it's like
if you would smell it right now, would you have like flashbacks?
I know exactly the smell. I could
you
taste
can
it.
Taste it right now.
Taste it. I almost kind of miss it.
Well, you should check out the gym. I mean, I don't know. Might feel good.
It was just like a gym bag foot, like disgusting. And it was and it was in this place. And like, you know, you even like when I was a kid, you'd go watch like the older kids and stuff, and you'd be playing pinball with just this like musk, you know. It's just disgusting.
Did you play for a while?
Hockey? Yeah. Oh, I played until I started tattooing. I always played hockey. It was my favorite sport.
Such a difficult sport.
It's the best sport to play.
You got to hold the balance while trying to use a stick to shoot the small thing into a smaller thing with a giant man in front of it.
And then I started doing that also.
And then you have to fight everybody.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's I always enjoyed it. It's the one sport I played most, but watched and like followed professionally the least. Mm-hmm. My favorite sport was baseball to watch, but play hockey, but I never watched it.
I've never seen a baseball game.
No? And you've been here how long now?
14 years.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to a baseball game. That's like the ultimate American.
And in New York, too. I pass by Yankee Stadium all the time.
Yeah, you're in a real baseball town, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to, but it seems very complex set of rules.
Yep.
I've watched a couple of movies about baseball. I love the movies because I like the culture. I like the feel of it.
Yeah.
I would love to be and like just watch it and get one of the fingers. And
eat peanuts and drink a beer.
Beer,
that's what it is.
Hot dog.
Yeah. But honestly, I'm glad you said that because that's what it is. It's a culture. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people like to say, oh, baseball, it's boring. Mm-hmm. But it's like saying chess is boring. You know,
yeah, of course it is.
It is boring, but when you know really what's going on and like the subtleties of like what the moves are, it's
and
actually
just the ritual of going there and sitting there.
100%.
Like,
it's a nice time of year. Sun is usually shining, and all like they call it a park, like a ballpark. You know, like every stadium is unique too, and the field dimensions. Only the infield has a standard, but the outfield varies in every stadium. So like, you know, some stadiums will have like a shorter like field on like one side, right? Like left field will be in more. So then they'll like specifically try to get like right-handed hitters because they can hit the ball over that shorter fence. So they'll try to like build the team around like the shape of the park. There's so many like little nuances.
It's very cool, yeah.
And just like there's mini games, I think, kind of going on like within, like there's pitching, and then there's like the relationship between the pitcher and the catcher, but then there's like when your runners are on base, that's like a little micro game. It's all like, it's really cool.
I recently watched 2 movies about baseball. One is an old movie that I loved since childhood.
Which one?
Is Taking Care of Business.
I never seen it. Oh, I heard of it. And my brother-in-law always used to like quote that movie.
Oh my God. I love that movie so much. It just hits home. When I was like maybe 8, I watched it, and I was learning English from watching American movies and cartoons with bad interpretation, where our translation was a little behind. Oh. And the interpreter would be the same dude who is interpreting all American movies with the same kind of intonation, where something happens and the woman is talking to another woman and is being translated by a dude who is just like reading off a paper, and he's just like, oh, and he said this, and she said
and
that,
this would just be standard, like on so you're watching on like network.
All bootleg.
So you weren't watching this on like cable. It was like you bought it off somebody.
It was on a tape, yeah. We would like buy that.
And somebody was like peddling these.
Yeah.
So the guy who was selling them, or someone he was associated with, did the dubbing.
Yes.
And that was like his whole market.
And that's like the whole culture of the 90s of the movies that were dubbed like that.
And that's interesting because I can almost, as like an American, like because I spent a lot of time around Russians and Ukrainians, and I could see like almost like how that, like, I guess because like, right, it was like the Soviet Union was coming, like ended.
It ended already.
But
we
it's
grew
still
up in like this limbo.
Like when there was like a little like a transition, like people were just starting to like kind of come out of like this amnesia, right? I would imagine. So then you started getting this media from America.
Yeah, and also as a kid, because we didn't grow up in Soviet Union. Like I was born in 87, but I wasn't conscious. I wasn't forming memories for the first several years.
Yeah,
of
life, course.
You know? So in the 90s, we were watching all these movies, and we were kind of soaking in everything that was available all of a sudden, and everything was available. It was like a split second of freedom and just unfiltered good and bad from everywhere, every possible direction. Bubblegum, jeans, American Hollywood movies, rock and roll, everything.
Wow. Just like, it's like somebody just opened up the gate.
And it just...
And that's so interesting because I always feel like Russians and people from that region are like very like I don't know, like they always like that culture. Like, a lot of you guys are like more cultured than me, I feel, because it might have just been something that was like just so like you take for granted as like an American kid. You know what I mean? That like it's not as interesting to me like some like video game or like I feel like as Americans we're a little bit spoiled and almost bratty. I I remember like Dennis telling me that they would wait online to play like Nintendo 64 in like a bus that was like abandoned somewhere, and some older guy would like sell you like 30 minutes to play Sega or something or Nintendo, and it was like probably this real valued experience playing Mortal Kombat and like being so excited. And me, it's like, oh, I didn't get the new Mortal Kombat for Christmas, you know, like like just the perspective of like growing up in one place to the other, which it's funny because we're coming from a place that's culturally rich, but I always felt like people from like maybe your culture like appreciated that stuff.
Yeah. Because you're like on a diet. You get these like little intakes and you really want all of it. It's like, oh my God, I want all of it. I want all the movies I can watch. You go buy records, like anything. You have this. It's like we have 5 of them. And you got to be the first one to get it. And then you just like let it rip through your friends, and everybody is just copies.
So then somebody found the hole in the market and was like producing these, and he was the one translating them.
And then later it became even I know I'm gonna butcher it again, blanking on the name of the dude who was the translator. And then later
he had like branding, like you're saying?
He had branding later when it wasn't necessary anymore. What is the name? God damn it. But movies like any movie, like Matrix, could be translated by this dude. There is like a real good interpretation for the movie, but then you could buy one from this dude.
Oh, he became like famous or popular?
And that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he would do it like with all the curse words, with like funny jokes, with his like intonation. And
it
people
became
would
a
much
thing.
Rather watch this.
Yeah.
Snatch in that interpretation is just something better than the original.
He was like the DJ Khaled of like interpreting. Like when you had his stamp, like it was like having like Lil Jon on your track or some shit. Like it was like,
God damn it, I'm blanking on his name. Fuck. He's like a famous dude for it. Whatever.
So he wound up like, but when you were originally watching it, was he famous at that time, or he became famous?
It was not just him. It was like several dudes who would do the
like
dubbing.
a group or something.
Maybe they were completely unrelated, but it was always just bad and behind. And
Yeah.
The same guy for a kid, for a woman, for
There's like some like a dialogue between two children on a playground, and some man was like, "Hey, like stop."
And he's not even trying. He'd just be like, "Hey, so I heard your mom," like whatever.
He's just reading he's just getting through this. It's like work. Like he's not doing it with passion.
He's just like reading it and just like, oh my God, I fucking hate that movie. All right. Yeah. Tom, I don't know Tom. Like, you know.
It's funny. Well, I mean, as funny as it is, like it's you almost want to like, you know, it's interesting because that's how you were consuming media. And then there was like some crybaby, like I was kid brat here, like, like just wishing they, you know, I mean, you were over there wishing you could just like take this in. And then there's like people here just taking it for granted, you know?
For sure. Yeah. I'm always jealous. But I always was kind of like, I looked at American culture as something so far away, so unrealistic, that the first time when I came here in 2006, I was so kind of drunk on this experience that I was almost like in a dream. Like I was in a movie. I was walking on the streets just like, oh my God, there's a taxi cab and there's this and that. It's like everything is so different and people are smiling, and I don't know. It was something surreal to me. I couldn't believe that I was here. All summer that I spent in Atlantic City, out of all places, was just crazy experience for me.
So you were drunk on American culture, and then shortly thereafter, you got actually drunk.
Oh, yeah. Almost simultaneously.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure I was drunk with you in Atlantic City at some point, probably.
You in Atlantic City, we tattooed my neck.
Yeah, we did. That wasn't when we were drunk. Well, we were probably drunk too.
Probably a little drunk.
That wasn't the convention where we took our pants off, right? That was a different one.
That one was in New York. Mm-hmm. That one was the knee.
Yeah. Okay. So that was how it started. You had your pants off.
You took your pants off in solidarity to me, and we did like a run because we were the last one at the tattoo convention floor. Because
we were drunk.
I should probably have a video of that somewhere.
You do? Yeah, that would be cool.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah. That if you could send it to me, that would be dope.
Okay, no,
Well,
you know what?
We'll put it right here.
I don't know. But yeah, that tattoo convention, I think first day I got this side of the neck tattoo.
You did.
Next day I got the knee. And by then I already came in. I snuck in Jägermeister. And we started drinking and you were sharpening it on. And I was drunk before we even started. And then you started touching up this top piece. And then I was just already too drunk and too much in pain. And I was just like, oh my God, I just can't do it.
I was drunk too, tattooing you. I can't do that shit anymore.
No, yeah. I can't drink and tattoo. I cannot trust myself.
I used to do it all the time, but only like when, with the client,
Well, I think you started tattooing when you were younger. I started tattooing very late in my 30s. So my body has already lower tolerance to all of the things that you could have done when you were young tattooing than me. I'm already an old woman. I'm being very careful with my body.
It's amazing how like a couple years makes a big difference.
Big difference.
Like a jump from like when I was 23, 4, 5, probably like when I was tattooing you 26, something like that maybe.
Yeah, and you were still kind of like considering yourself like a beginner at this point. But yeah, and I was probably like 27, right? I'm a little bit older than you, no?
Yeah, I'm 34.
I'll be 36 in July.
Oh, so not that much.
I'm an old woman.
Some real old person's probably watching this like, shut up.
Yeah. Everything hurts. When I started tattooing and I got busy, after a few months, I was like, does everybody's hands hurt?
Their hands don't all hurt, but something hurts. Because my hands don't hurt. Besides like the random pain I just get in nowhere, which is obviously tattoo related too. But I get in here in my trap and my neck where it connects. Like, so it's like when you wake up with a stiff neck and you like, you just can't like look, you can't even look at like a stop sign. Like when you're at the stop sign, you gotta like, it hurts. Like just that hurts for me like always. And then when I take like a week or two off, it starts to like go away. But one day tattooing and it's back. Full. Like he's like,
I think my hands hurt also because I did breakdance I did all kinds of sport growing up, but breakdance really fucked up my wrists because you do everything.
You were doing some flares?
No. I wasn't that cool. But you do just like footwork and like different breaking on the floor, and your hand is always in that position, and then you get carpal tunnel here. And then I stopped doing that, but then I started biking a lot. When I lived in Brooklyn, I would bike to work and back. And from road bike, being in that position, I started feeling the pains.
The same, yeah.
And then I stopped, and then I started tattooing, and all of this came back. And I'm just like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? And I'm learning that it will never stop. It will just...
And then it's like you realize when you were a kid and old people used to say to you, enjoy your youth while you're young, kid. And you used to be like, shut up, old man. Like, and
I'll
like,
never be old like you.
And then that's what they meant. Like, because if you weren't a tattoo artist, like you'd have pain from like sitting at your desk, or, I'd be probably doing like fucking construction or, whatever. Like something I'm doing is going to hurt something, Because
whatever age you are, you feel like you will always be that age.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Like right now, I'm comfortable where I'm at, but I will probably always hurt right here. And I would be awesome if I had this for like another 10 years, just that. But I know it's going to get worse and worse and worse now. Yeah,
but unless you go with my attitude for it, it's like, it'll go away, Like Miriam's always like, you should see a doctor. And I'm like, fuck that shit. These doctors, they're just like, in my opinion, like they don't, half the time I go to them, they don't even know what the fuck is like up.
Well, I agree. Most doctors, I feel like, don't know what the fuck is going on because it's hard to understand human body. There's so much stuff is going on, even though they all have these narrow fields. But still, I went to a dermatologist and I see. It's almost like if I went to a tarot girl and she would just read the cards for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know pretty much exactly that much about in your field, and you went to the school for 8 years.
My wife went to a dermatologist and they put a fucking hole in her face. Like,
I have a hole right here right now.
They did it with the shot or something, and then they had to like fix it with like saline, some bullshit. Like, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? I could have probably fixed that shit. I would have just prayed over your face, like. Yeah.
They got out like a mole right here. Now I have an ugly scar.
So like they didn't even like do it good, is what you're saying.
Maybe they did it well. I don't know. Maybe it's just my body. Maybe it's just the location. I don't know. But
It's like I feel like with them it's like and to relate it to tattooing, it's the same. Like so like I think because I'm a tattoo artist, I understand how like all those types of things would literally be the same. Like this is a doctor, but I could show you someone who's a tattoo artist, but I wouldn't recommend you get a tattoo from them. Like, you know, so just because somebody says something, I don't think they're all created equal, you know, like same. And I have tattooed a surgeon and he was telling me like, don't get surgery.
Fuck that. Yeah.
Because he was like, you know, it's like, well, think about, you know, a couple tattoo artists that, you know, that, you know, they pass the apprenticeship, you know, they have a big clientele, but it's like,
working,
but, you know, are you going to send like your family member there, you know? So I'm sure it's the same for the doctor world.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to get. And in tattooing, you can kind of like do the research and look at the healed stuff. And with doctors, it's harder to do that.
Yeah. And it's probably not impossible, but I think less people think they should do that because they're just like doctor prestige.
Yeah. And like, how do you research your doctor?
I don't know.
Just
I haven't been to a doctor in over 10 years.
I don't know.
I'm like the worst doctor guy.
I think you should still do doctor. You should do a blood work. You should know where you stand just in case, especially now in the 30s, closer to 40s. You got to like watch your levels and stuff. I'm pushing my husband to constantly like go check it out.
I know. Miriam's always telling me that too.
He had
I have the white coat syndrome.
My mom has the same thing.
Yeah.
She hates doctors.
Sorry, interrupted you. You said his elbow.
He had to drain his elbow. He had the fucking bag of liquid on his elbow for 2 weeks. And until it started to hurt, he didn't go to a doctor. And now he finally drained it. And I got so mad at him because I'm like, I need you to stick around with me here. Okay?
Yeah.
I need you not for a couple of years. I need you potentially for hundreds.
Like, homie, I gambled on you, dog. Like, now I need you here.
All my money is on you. I need you.
I pushed the stack all in here, like, dog. You know, like, let's make this work. You know?
Yeah, please take care of this vessel. I need it. Yeah.
Isn't that scary, actually? Like, sometimes I would just be like, especially when I have a little weed, like laying down at night and being like, whoa, like we're on this wild ride through Earth. And like, that's my person. And it's like, what if something happens to them? What if something happens to me? And then it's like, you got the dog and you're thinking about the fucking dog, you know, like, and it's just like, so, like, you know, if I get in one of those like bad little, not bad cycles, I think it's a true cycle. Like,
it's appreciation for what you have. And the fact that you're afraid to lose it, it's meaningful.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I love these people and things so much. And like, but it's like, I'm not denying it. Like, it's just a real feeling. Like, you're like, damn, that's like scary. We're out here hurling on a rock through space with people we love and care about. And then you like start realizing your own immortality. And you're like, it's, you know, like I said, usually, you know, you had a little weed before and these thoughts.
Take off.
And then you fall asleep and you wake back up and you're like, there's a fucking line at the coffee shop this morning. Fuck.
Yeah. or you're like, oh my God, like I'm so lucky that I have this person and this dog and like this house and this job and and you're like, so I get so emotional and just like I'm so afraid to like if any of it will go left or. And then you're like, why did you leave your socks over there again? God damn it. I told you so many times.
I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, I'm so vulnerable. I love my wife. Like, you know, please be careful. Call me when you get there. And then she calls me.
Fucking annoying.
Why are you fucking calling me again? You know? But that's like, actually, it's funny, though. It brings up a really good, true point because I always feel that way. Like, you know, I'd get into an argument with my wife or something and be like, you know, well, you know, when I'm at the shop, like no one else thinks that's annoying or no one else is that. And like, but she's like criticizing me maybe for something, you know, and then you realize it's like, yeah, because I'm with that person for like 10 minutes and they can like deal with it. Like I probably just complained the same thing to her.
And they also probably don't care about you as much as she does.
Yeah. And she's like also like overhearing it, or be comfortable enough to tell me, shut the fuck up, you know? Whereas like this person is just like smiling and nodding because, you know, they just met me like, they're not like invested in me. So they're just like, oh yeah. No. I'm like, well, they were able to listen and it didn't annoy them. You know, how come it annoys you? She's like, yeah, bitch, because I know why it annoys you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's funny. Like you're almost, I almost feel like people like to say like you treat the people you love like not worse, but like I think you're just more comfortable with them. So you're like quick to be like, shut the fuck up.
And you also should. You should be honest with people you love. Mm-hmm. You should be straight up with them. You should tell them, because that's the only way they will get better at anything. Mm-hmm. And because you put money on them, you want them to get better at whatever. People who come and go out of your life, they just want a nice interaction with you and moving on. They don't care about how your life is going to go, which successes you will achieve or not. It doesn't matter. They get what they wanted out of you and they moved on. And the interaction was pleasant. And that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. That's just diplomacy. But if a person is in the same room with you, like in the ship, going through space, you know, they want you to be your top, your best. And they have to be honest with you.
No, it's funny because like my wife could challenge me so much, like, and, you know, why'd you leave this sock here? Why'd you do that? Or, you know, you left fucking crumbs on the counter, whatever it is. And as much as it annoys me, like, I actually like yearn for that too, because it's like, you know, if I was with somebody who wasn't doing that, I think in a week I would be like, well, you're not challenging me. And that's like almost not interesting for me.
Well, you wouldn't be with somebody who doesn't. You chose her because she does.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like you need to gamble on things in life. Like, I think that might be the saying of like, if you love something, let it go, kind of, maybe that's different, but like almost like you need to like take the risk of like upsetting them or challenging them in order to like make them not in a manipulative way, but like to make them stay more, you know, like I think that would be the same for like a tattoo apprentice or like someone like that. If I was challenging them enough that it pissed them off, but they were thirsty for more of that would be like the right person, I think. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Have you ever had that feeling where you're like, fuck this guy or fuck this asshole, but then you're like, all right, let's go back and see what's up. Like, you know.
For sure, yeah. I remember when I was apprenticing, Marek at one point sat me down and was like, okay, we need to have a conversation. You're the worst apprentice I've ever had. Yeah. You don't listen. You don't do what I say. You don't come here first thing in the morning. You don't do the floors every time, like whatever. You do it all yourself, and it's fine. And I like you as a person. You're fun. You're a good person. I just don't want to teach you. Yeah. And I was like, okay. What does that mean? It sucks to hear it, and I just don't know what does that mean. Like, do I get the fuck out or like what? He's like, no, you're free to come whenever. You're free to come to hang out. You can bring your friends and tattoo them. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm just not gonna run this shit for you anymore. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I just lived till the end of the day. And then I came, you know, next day or a couple of days later to tattoo whatever I had planned. And I just like kept on coming. I was just like, are you sure it's cool? And I'm like, all right. And I just did that. And I just kept coming and coming and coming. And then after a couple of weeks, he was just like, all right, let's talk now. And I was like, you fucking test? Is that a fucking test? Like,
yeah, it's great.
Coming? And I was like, all right, cool.
That's cool as fuck. Yeah.
And I was just like, well, yeah, hell yeah. If he told me that it's fine for me to come still and learn, that's pretty much all I want. I mean, it was nice to have a supervision and advice. And I feel like I could still ask him that. So I'm just like, well, then I'm just going to keep coming.
What actually changed? Yeah. He was just keeping it like, it was like almost the way of just saying like, you know.
Yeah. But it did feel kind of like scary for a second there when he said I'm the worst, and I'm just like, oh, I can come. Okay, cool.
I actually remember that because I was working there at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think I had much of appreciation for that, but I always loved, like at the time I didn't appreciate like what you were going through as much as I probably would now. Like if I was working there now, I would probably just be like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, you know, like there's nothing more I love like being someone who's, you know, been doing this for about 10 years now, like seeing somebody like lower going through it, you know, like just like a young apprentice, like, you know, telling me, oh, my boss or my owner, you know, told me I, you know, can't tattoo on, you know, Tuesdays and I have to mop the floor, you know, like, or whatever, you know, or like some bullshit or like, you know, they got rid of me. And then it's like, well, how much do you want to do this? You know what I mean? Like, because in hindsight, you look back and like, those are the moments for me, like, that you could even sit here with me right now and tell me that story. Like, what would you be or anyone be if it was just like, oh, I worked there.
If it was all easy.
Yeah, and the guy just let me do whatever I want, and I just did it. And like, it's like almost bullshit. Like, you wish you could just show someone that in hindsight. Like, that's what it's about. Like, that is the beauty for me.
And that's how you maybe also evaluate whether you actually want it. Not even prove to someone, but analyze for yourself. Do you still want to do it? And you're just like, yeah, I don't really want to do it.
If you want to and you really want to do it, you will. You know what I mean? That hiccup shouldn't stop you. And in fact, it should build character. Like that to me is like the ultimate test. Like yeah. I don't even know what else to say about it, but like truly, I think that everyone I talked to that persevered and became a tattoo artist and had some success doing it has like 20 of those stories. And I feel like the kids who quit, what made them quit, good, get out of here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, nothing crazy happened to me. Like, I remember Sean was saying that they would just like drop him off in the field somewhere, or just like,
well,
he
who
drew
knows
a
where
rose.
Sean was hanging out, you know?
He like drew a rose. They would like rip it apart, do it again, or whatever. And
Sure.
it's just like so much disrespect and humiliation. I obviously I had it way easier.
Yeah. Well,
But-
that's just different. That's just like stupid, like humiliate. You know, like
It's a bit much. It's almost like prison stuff.
I'm not saying that. Well, I mean, you know. You don't know that for him that might have been a good environment,
Maybe,
because he like likes that shit, you know, like
maybe for all of us it's like different level of push we need to like wake up, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be so easy. Like, there should be some, you know, thing.
Yeah. And it's good to have someone who's hard on you. I feel like because I did sports my entire life, I'm used to having a coach being like, pick up your pace. Like, you can do better.
Same.
Like,
I played,
shut the fuck up. Stop talking. Keep doing. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And you just like speak it. You're just like, yeah, get it. Like, you have to understand. And I'm very bad with authority. I'm still gonna question everything you say. Like,
but I like that. So like, I think if I was teaching someone, I would be hard on them in, you know, in that, you know, not like disrespectfully stupid, but just, you know, pushing them in some calculated way, but also would almost expect a little bit of like rebellion, because I feel like that's where you breed like really cool things, like really, right? Like, who does something cool that doesn't have a little bit of like some kind of chip on their shoulder somewhere, you know?
And you want to kind of feel a little bit of feedback, kind of.
Yeah.
Just like, what are you gonna do if I do this? Like, is there any resistance at all?
You might find the line. And I think in that line is where
what has happened,
the nice stuff exists, kind of, you know?
Yeah. Are you gonna have an apprentice?
I would. I'm waiting for them to come.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the right guy. Or a girl. I don't know. Yeah. No, none of it exists anymore.
The right they, you know.
The right they.
But you know, whoever approaches, you know, I don't know. I put out a thing one time, like, oh, looking for an apprentice, but then I like deleted it because I was like, I don't know if that's the way, you know. It's like I kind of always felt like it's just, you know, I'm very open to having somebody now that I have my own space and shit, you know. But yeah, I think I would, you know.
Yeah.
What is that?
I think somebody was just walking, maybe.
Oh, I don't know if they were knocking.
Maybe. It's so different here. Like.
No, we're good.
So yeah, when the right person comes along.
Maybe that was the person.
Oh shit. Well, they didn't make it. Didn't make the cut.
Sorry, bruh.
Try again. Let's see how much you really want it.
So you moved here in 2006 to America, yeah?
No. That's when I came here for the first time.
Oh, so you visited.
Summer. Yeah, I used to come as an exchange student. And I would stay here for the summer, work in different hotels in Atlantic City, because I went to school for management for international tourism, and I graduated.
Was that like in like a high school or like a college?
It's like a college.
Okay, so you went there for, what was it? International tourism. So that's and then through that program they set you up somewhere here.
So in the summer we would have people, because there was like different branches of tourism. Some people were hospitality, some people were more of a tourism. Some people were more of a restaurant business.
Okay, so there's very specific like subjects within that.
Yeah, and they would anybody was free to go wherever during the summer, but it would count as a practical assignment, basically like a professional experience you're gaining. And people would go to Egypt, to Turkey, to Cyprus, and you ended
up in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
I went to yes with a work contract to be a housekeeper.
Did you choose to go there, or?
I didn't choose Atlantic City, but we found out that you could go to the States, and me and two of my friends went and applied for that program. It was about $2,000 to like everything, and then they set you up with a work contract.
Oh, because a lot of the other possibilities were in other countries, and then that was like the U.S. option.
Yes.
So then, do you think, because like what you were saying before about, your consumption of like American movies and music, that you were just like, U.S., I want to go there?
For sure. And it also felt so unrealistic that I'm like, there's no way they're gonna give me a visa. There's no way I'm ever gonna get there. Every step of the way, it's like, are you sure? Okay. Are you sure? Okay. It's like everything is happening, and I got visa, and then we got on a plane, and we landed, and we got out of the airport. I'm like, are we still alive? Is this really happening?
So did you land at Newark Airport or Philly?
No, JFK. The first time was JFK.
Oh wow, okay.
And we took a taxi cab to Atlantic City.
Oh, wow.
Because we were told not to trust anybody who comes up to you and offers you like anything, any type of transportation.
That's funny. I always hear that when I leave U.S., not leave U.S.
Well,
now I can't even get an Uber around here. I'm like calling an Uber, and like guy will pull up and be like, shit, nah, I ain't taking you over there. And I'm like, come on, bro. Aren't you a fucking Uber driver? You ever done that? Like you get like 3 of them. One time I wanted to get, especially when you're going from New Jersey to New York, they don't want to take you there because
the tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel, the traffic, the toll, and then they don't want to. They can't bring someone back legally. So I used to commute to New York City from New Jersey, and I would sometimes just be, I'm taking a fucking Uber today. I'm treating myself. It's Friday, like fuck it.
From Atlantic City, to New Jersey to where you live. Would take an Uber?
No, I would take an Uber from where I live into New York. From where I used to live. Okay. It was like East Rutherford, New Jersey, into New York to the shop. And I would just do it because I like, fuck it. I just want to sit back and like answer some emails, pay like $70 or some crazy shit each way. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself. It's Friday, I'd be waiting maybe 10 minutes. Guy would pull up and be like, hell no, I ain't taking you over there. I'd be like, come on. So then I call another one. Guy would come and he'd be like, all right. He's like, yeah, but I don't have Easy Pass. He's like, and one guy was like, I got to hit the ATM.
Oh my God.
And get the toll, because they're supposed to pay the toll, and then I just get it goes into my fee.
Bill.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I was like, after being frustrated of not being able to get someone to drive me there, I was just like, all right, So he stopped at the fucking ATM, got gas, like might even went inside and got like a fucking go taquito from 7-Eleven or some shit. And I'm like,
you're just sitting there like,
right. And I'm like, I don't even know why I started talking about this, but so you took it to Atlantic City from JFK.
We took a yellow cab.
Yellow ass cab. What was it, like a few $100? Like
$250.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It's like not even that bad with 2 of you.
4.
Man.
It was 4 of us. It was still each of us
know.
Probably had like $500 with us. Tops.
You just landed here first time. Yeah. Now I'd be like, oh, $250. Fuck it. It might even. Well, I mean, it would be more.
It wouldn't
now.
be.
Yeah. So you get to Atlantic City. Yep.
We take a peek at the casinos, at the outlets, district, all of that.
And what were your initial thoughts? Like,
wow.
Oh, so it was cool. Like it wasn't
very
like
cool.
And then you went 2 blocks off the main strip and you were like, whoa. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was he dropped us off at like a motel right outside the city.
Oh, that checks out.
For like $65 a night. I don't remember which motel. We stayed there a night, and then one girl went somewhere, and the 3 of us went to where we're supposed to work, orientation, and all that. And
were you working for a hotel, or was it like somebody private?
Flagship Resort Hotel.
Okay, that was the name of it, or was that like that blanket? It still is.
It's still there.
And that was, I'd never heard of that one.
Flagship. It's not a casino. It's just a hotel.
Oh, okay.
And we were supposed to be housekeepers for $7.50 an hour.
Okay, at the hotel.
Yes. And we had orientation.
So you were going to be like the lady who knocks on my door at 8 a.m.
I was for like a week. I worked as a housekeeper. Yeah, housekeeping.
Yeah, housekeeping, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
It was so great because they taught us how to like wash things properly. They showed us how to like wash a bathroom. We became professionals. I mean, I only lasted about a week, but the girls did it all summer, and they were so proficient at it. They would just clean the shit out of our house.
They were just checking the curtains with like a UV light.
No, they didn't do that.
You know, one time I had a client who told me that he would fuck his wife in a hotel and rub his cum on the blinds. And I'm like, why?
Oh my God.
He's like, yeah, just on the fucking curtains. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Why? God damn.
Sorry. So is that why you only lasted a week?
I'm
because
you purchase a UV light.
They just like shipped you in from Russia and you're just UV in the place.
Yeah.
Like, so is that why you only lasted a week? Did you find something bizarre that made you quit or something?
No, they walked in one day and they were like, anybody has like good English? We need a cashier in a restaurant. And I was like,
you watched enough of the Terminator over there in Russia on a delay that you were like, when they asked you, you waited a second, you were like, me.
Yeah, I waited a second. I was like, I got this.
I'll be back.
And oh my God, it was so hard because they put you on a phone and you're at the entrance, you're a cashier, they pay bills with you and they can order takeout over the phone. And my English was good compared to my friends, but it wasn't good.
Right. You had the best out of the group.
Yeah. And I was listening to people ordering and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is a BLT? Like, I cannot get a BLT. What the fuck is a BLT? I would just be like, I don't know what this is. I don't know the terminology for like the sandwiches and this and that. It was hard. People talk fast and they just wherever they're from. Americans are never just Americans. They're Indian Americans, Chinese Americans, Italian Americans. Everybody sounds different. Everybody has an accent. I'm just like, oh God, like I didn't last long too. I lasted like 2 weeks.
So you did 1 week as a housekeeper, 2 weeks as a cashier,
Yes.
and then where'd you go from there?
A bus person.
Okay. Like working on the bus, or you were cleaning up the tables?
Cleaning the tables.
Okay.
At that same
At
restaurant.
the same restaurant. Okay, so they were like, you were at the cashier, and they were like, they're like, this isn't gonna work out.
I'll give you something easier. They were like, but you can make tips. No.
You were like looking for subtitles in real life.
Yeah. I wish people came with subtitles.
So then they send you back. You're fucking bussing tables.
Yeah, I did that for a certain amount of weeks, and then I got a job at the Hilton at the gift shop.
Now this was during the same like
summer.
work excursion.
The same summer, I had like 8 different jobs.
So you were just like, yeah, you were about, what is it, like 8 weeks
Everything
of the summer?
was a movie. It didn't matter. You know, I'm just like, yes, I'll do that. What is this? I'll do that. I worked at like a cell phone shop for a second.
So there's like a high excitement during this time because you're just happy. And
I was 19.
19, you're in America.
Yeah. Everything is shocking. Everything is unreal.
You're probably seeing like a different type of diversity. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's like a resort. So we came early. People weren't there yet. Then people started flooding in for the season, and you watch like different type of Americans coming with kids. People like bump you a little bit on the shoulder and like, oh, I'm sorry. And you're like,
and they're smiling more, and
it's so interesting.
And you're by the beach, so the weather's nice this time of year. So it's like you were like in a little bit of like a fantasy.
It's like a movie.
And you had days off too, I would imagine.
Yeah. And also I got fired for like the longest. For like 3 weeks in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, and you're 19, you probably didn't even care.
I cared because I was like really short on money. I was like, shit, I need to find something. And it was impossible to find a job in the middle of the summer. There were students from everywhere, from old Soviet Union republics, from like Bulgaria, Moldova, Macedonia, from everywhere.
So what was it like? Like, did you guys have like a you stayed in that hotel that you initially checked in, or did you guys have like dorms kind of?
We rented out a house with other students. It's a big house on Montpelier Avenue with like guys from Kazakhstan, from a couple of guys from Ukraine, from like a couple of guys. It's like from all over, just students around like the same age, and everybody had different jobs, and we all lived together and like got shit faced together.
This kind of almost, it kind of almost feels like people like kind of like that escaped the Amish. Like here's like a bunch of like ex-Soviet kids living in America in the summer, drinking, getting fucked up. Did it become like almost? Did you guys have like a sub like party scene at night?
Yeah, crazy.
Where it's just guys just like fucking and stuff? Like
100%.
Yeah, this is like a thing. Like
yes.
just like
yes, we would listen to people fog.
Some dude from Kazakhstan just getting down over there on some chick from
dude
fucking
from
Bulgaria.
Kazakhstan grew weed on our roof.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
In a whole summer, just fucking.
Yeah, he grew like this tree.
Wow.
Out of a little thing.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So you guys are like almost having like your own like little side party, but you're all working, getting fired.
Yeah.
But you're on some like work.
I think I was the only one getting fired.
So that's funny.
I was saying that I was fired probably from every job I've ever had until I started tattooing.
Yeah.
I can't fire myself.
Yeah, and if it wasn't,
I was fired from apprenticeship too.
Well, this is like, that's what's cool about the tattooing. It's like a job where like it's a bunch of people who would otherwise get fired.
Yeah.
And then that's what makes it a little bit, and that's what makes it a little bit crazy because it's like, a bunch of delinquents hanging out together, and then they try to create like a structure within that. And you're just like, all right, dude. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's like some dude who would have got fired from a real job is now like the boss here. You know, like you see that and it's like, you know.
It's good because maybe it's just an artistic kind of mind that is just difficult to adopt to like a very specific structure and regime. I tried different jobs in my life. I tried working as an interpreter over the phone, where you have to show up at like 8 a.m. and you're there 8 to 5 and like you get paid good money. I was 1 minute late one time and they were like, let's have a conversation. That might not, let's not do this again anymore. I never came there again. I was like, you're not gonna like it.
That sounds like a lot of people want to have these conversations with you. And even I hit you up and be like, hey, let's have a conversation.
Well, you didn't invite me here to fire me.
That's what
I know that much. How can you fire me?
Yeah.
Come on, Bobby.
I'm
please
fire
don't. Don't do this to me.
I'll hire you and fire you just for.
Yeah. I had to hear that too many times that I already made my peace with it. It's fine.
That's funny.
It's a good thing to do and to make your peace with. I'm not good at it, but when I was doing modeling before I started tattooing, I had to make my peace with hearing no when you go on castings.
Okay.
Because you have to. Because you will hear more no's than yeses.
So when you were modeling, you're saying, and what do you mean you have to learn how to say no? Like
to hear no, like you're not it.
They're looking for something specific.
And it's not about you. It's not because you're bad. It's not because
you
you're
don't
ugly.
fit their image.
You're just not it. Yes.
Whatever they're trying to go for, they're looking for potentially something specific.
And as a model, as an actor, you go and you hear more no's than yeses, and you have to like be okay with it and move along and move along and move along and move along. And like out of 10 auditions, you will get one, and it's fine. And
so like a 10% success rate is like good, or
it's just what it is.
Is that, I wonder if that's like one of those things that you dial in. Like the more you do it, you start like getting, you know what I mean? You start like applying for things that are better, giving yourself a better chance. I don't know. Is that like how that works, or you just gave up on that life anyhow? So you're like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, I didn't master it. That's why I'm saying I'm not good at it, but it was a hard thing. It was like almost after every time I heard no for a part that had to be me. Like they were looking for a Russian girl with tattoos with short hair, and I show up and the casting director loves me.
Yeah, you're already walking in like,
yeah, I'm like, hey
guys, like nice to meet you. Like we'll be working together for a while. And then they were just like, no.
Exactly. Yeah, and that would hurt so much that I had to like get out and like go to Sephora, treat me to like a mascara or something, like, you know, have a drink or something, just
get
like,
a little dopamine real
feel
quick.
good a little bit. Yeah, because it feels bad. I'm really bad at it, at like getting no.
So you don't,
hurts.
just in life in general, you don't like hearing no.
Nobody does. I mean, but for some of us it's like more painful than for others, and but I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. We're all just human. We're trying to do our best.
That's what you think.
Okay. All right.
I'm just kidding. So let's. I want to go back to that summer. So you're hanging out.
Oh my God, there's so much more happened than that summer.
Just
I got
scissoring
robbed.
in the dorm room. No, I'm just so
No, I don't remember. Like, was it that summer? No, it
fresh.
wasn't that summer.
It was the next. So because you ultimately went back home to Russia.
Yeah, well, before I got home, I got fired from Hilton for stealing a box of lighters, and I got
To
caught.
smoke the dude's weed on the
No,
roof.
we just had engraved Hilton on it, and I thought it was gonna be a good present for when I come back.
Oh, you wanted to bring him back to Russia as like a look
It
at
was
this
like
shit
a box of skinny lighters. It was maybe 10 of them in there. They were
with that
cool.
908 area code engraved into it.
I don't know. Not just Hilton. Hilton, Atlantic City, something. And they were like metal, you know.
Oh, like nice Zippos.
Very cool, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, they searched our bags and they were like,
Who searched the bags?
like my manager. There was a new manager.
Because they were missing.
I guess
So
so.
like,
Yeah.
which one of you fuckers took?
Maybe, yeah. It was so embarrassing. It was just so fucking, you're just, oof. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, everybody was stealing. Like all of our students coming from poor countries were stealing from outlets, from everywhere.
Oh, like at all like the nearby shopping centers and stuff. Just had like high street value out there.
And we were talking about this like adrenaline rush thing that you get from things.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit of that too.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like people become like kleptomaniacs. It's like a whole thing. You know?
It's like you find a way. There were people professionally stealing. You could tell them what you want, which suit, which size, and they would go in and they would get it for you.
I think there's people professionally stealing right now.
Maybe
Maybe
for sure. I mean, on
maybe-
a larger scale.
Maybe you're here to do that to me.
Yeah, I'll take that mic.
That's maybe this is like a long con.
Very long.
Like
It's a little too long.
so
for me.
long, like
You're giving me too much credit.
like an 8 or 9 year con. Like you just came here to steal my mic.
Wow. That's a good mic, sure.
Yeah.
Worth it. 9 years of my life.
That's when you told me you were coming here on vacation. you know?
Vacation.
Yeah, just like you were in 06 in Atlantic City. You were robbing fucking Marshalls out there, you know?
No, Hilton's, yeah. But anyway, after that, I didn't have a job for a few weeks, and I found a job in a nearby town, Ocean City.
Yeah.
And I worked there on a boardwalk in a jewelry store for another couple of weeks. And
Did
then
you steal any of the jewelry?
no, I learned my lesson.
Okay.
It's like I'm never doing that again. Didn't feel good.
Right.
Yeah, and actually after that, I've never stole anything because I was just like, that felt shitty. That did not feel good. Like if you have that experience one time, it'll teach you. It should.
What, getting caught?
Yeah.
It's just like an embarrassing,
It's so
humiliating
embarrassing.
thing.
Oof, very. And also you feel like you let someone down because my old manager came and she had the conversation with me.
You in these conversations.
It's just the English. I need to find a better way to describe what was happening. But yeah,
No, I think you're doing a great job.
I'm trying. I'm just doing my best here.
So
You brought a Russian person to speak English for 3 hours. I don't know. It's on you. And after that, I got a job at the 40/40 Club.
was that a strip club?
No. Not yet. Not that summer. No.
40 home runs, 40 stolen bases.
bases, yes.
Yeah. Also, it's like a sports bar.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's Jay-Z's bar
Oh, and that was in
Atlantic City.
Okay. So what were you doing
Right
there?
in front of Caesars or Trump Plaza, one of those.
Okay.
I was a cocktail server. And it's like a super ghetto nightclub
Okay.
with just, and at that time, I was a big hip hop head. Like all of my friends were listening to hip hop at home. I was rapping.
You were just like a pig in shit.
I was just like, oh my God. I could not believe they hired me. I was making good money there. I was doing bottle service. It was just like constantly my favorite music playing. I saw crazy huge bar fights, giant glass doors broken with somebody's head.
Oh.
It was just blood everywhere, bottles popping. Someone's fucking on a balcony in my private room where I was just serving bottles.
Damn.
Everything. It was so fun. I spent 2 months working there, made all of my money while working there. I saw Jay-Z, I saw Beyonce, I saw Memphis Black, I saw... I think that's it. And it was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome. It was worth it. But then also what happened on my way, I was walking home at night because I would work crazy hours till like 4 a.m, 6 a.m. I got jumped. And I didn't have a lot. It was a bad night though. I only had like $100.
But you got jumped like they,
from behind.
They beat the shit out of you?
No,
or
they just
took
stole
your
my
shit?
money.
Okay.
He took my bag and just like ran off, and I was just like in shock. Well, he jumped from behind, like kind of like chokehold me, and I didn't feel a knife or anything. It's weird that I was thinking about it in the moment, but I was still kind of like in shock and couldn't move, just like froze. And he just like gave me the bag. I gave him the bag. He pulled out a wallet and just took off. And then he even like yelled something, and I turned around. He like threw back my wallet. He just like took the cash out.
Okay.
And moved on. But I was
so he was like a respectful mugger.
Yeah, such a nice guy.
He's like, oh,
We're still in touch.
Here's your passport.
Really nice guy. Yeah. With my social security, everything.
Is he on like the homie hookup list for tattoos now? Like,
always gets the discount.
Because he was respectful enough to give back your credentials. You're like, bro, I'll hook you up with that like
nice
that tap out session, half sleeve. You know?
Oh my god.
So.
Yeah.
So, and I'm imagining this was a few blocks away from the boardwalk in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was like a block away from the house we lived in.
Okay, so you just had to go through like a war zone on your way back to and from work every day.
Yeah. We saw like shootouts. We saw everything. Next summer when we came to Atlantic City, we lived on Florida Avenue right by the concert hall, Boardwalk Hall. And they had a strip club, a liquor store. My friends were working at a liquor store dealing coke upstairs, and the go-go bar and our neighbor across from us was dealing something too. He would have an occasional visitor with like bleedy everything, just like, okay, come in. It's just crazy.
This is like the third time you mentioned blood. I want to go rewind back to when you mentioned when at Jay-Z's strip club you had, or bar.
Strip clubs.
You had
There's
mentioned
still a 40/40 club.
You had
in New York.
mentioned fucking. You were mentioned drunk. This, that, the other thing. But you also brought up blood.
Yeah.
I want to know what. Oh, because the fights. That's
fights. Yeah.
Oh.
We had these like huge bouncers. Nobody.
And they would
would
just
wanna
lump cats up.
Well, people would get trashed and they start fighting, and some people would sneak in like a knife or something, or you just break a bottle and start fighting, and then all these huge dudes would just like run up, and you can see when the club is packed and this kind of like dark wave of mass of people just running up the stairs into this room, and you're like, what? And then you just go into that room, it's just fucking trash everywhere, broken bottles, blood, somebody's teeth.
Yeah. Somebody's fucking, somebody's getting
somebody's
fucked
hair,
up.
weave, just everything,
Yeah,
nails.
like that.
It was crazy.
Damn. So you're seeing this, and this was like so interesting.
So crazy.
Because you heard about like rap, like you liked hip hop, and you heard about violence and rap and all this stuff. So you're just out here. So this is that same summer you're visiting. So you're still only here a few weeks, a month, two. Yeah. And now you're hanging out in Jay-Z's 40/40 club, just watching some bitch get whacked up off her weave and
for me,
fucking blood, coke, sex.
You know, we would have like and also just being working with sharks, just or our other
come again
cocktail servers. Sharks, yes, because they're such hustlers. They're so professional.
But what do you mean sharks?
So you stand outside when the club is packed, and you, let's say, have a table, and you want to put people who would buy a lot of bottles at that table.
And you guys scout out the line.
Yeah. You go, you see who's standing in the line. You walk up to them and you're like, you guys want to do bottle service? And what do you want to buy?
Oh,
Da-da-da-da-da.
if you don't want to wait online, well, you could come in.
Yes.
If you want to do bottle service.
And bottles are like $300-$400.
Yeah. It's like a $20 bottle, like Grey Goose. Cats are just paying like
$350. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus gratuity is already on it. 20% on everything. That's how you make money.
I don't know if like I just take for granted being able to like potentially calculate things quicker. But I always like would be like, what do you mean? I could just go buy that from the liquor store, get drunk, and then come inside and
but
then
that's
just
not
buy.
what you're paying for. You're paying for status.
Oh,
you're
I see.
paying for treatment. You're paying for a table where everyone is standing and looking how cool you are. You have these bottles.
Like look at these fucking peasants out on the dance floor grinding up on each other, bumping
and
shoulders.
it's usually the dudes who are come in with just like stacks of cash. And then they have all these bottles and all these chicks want to hang out with them.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't even think it's like the dudes that really have money. I think it's people that want you to think they have money. Right? Maybe.
A little bit
you
of
would
both.
know more.
A little bit of both.
I guess you're right, though, because if you do have a lot of money, you're like, I ain't going to fucking wait and stand. I'm just going to pay you a bunch of money, get in, sit down, and then when I'm ready to leave, I'll just leave.
Yeah, I have business to tend to.
Yeah.
We also, we would have like, I remember there would people be standing. It was a time where for the first time I saw people walking around in these long ass t-shirts. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, but that was like the long t-shirt, like those 50-cent tank tops. You remember those? The ones that came in with like the thick strap.
Yeah.
That was that era, the real do-rag kind of era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? With
and
the big,
you're not allowed in without like a certain look.
Yeah.
There's a dress code.
There was like an attire
and
requirement.
we sold merch too. So even if people wanted to buy bottles, they also have to buy a t-shirt, like a collar shirt. We would sell polo shirt.
I see.
And this and this. You just upsell. They taught me how to hustle, basically. It's just like, oh, I don't know. You guys could come in, but you got to buy a polo shirt and this and that. And they're like, all right, fine. Yeah.
So what was like your actual job description there? Was that part of it? Like upselling? Did you get commission on it or?
Yeah, everything, 20% on everything.
Oh, okay. So you were out there just selling.
Whatever I can sell. Yeah. You want that glass? It's going to be $50.
I mean, it was probably a really good life skill.
For sure.
You probably learned more there than you did in like formal school.
100%. In English too.
Yeah. So this is like, yeah, because you got to consider that when you're hearing the story that you're like your English
is not
now.
my first language.
Yeah. And in your English now compared to then, would you say it's like 5 times better, 10 times better?
I would say that if my English was at like a 5 then, now it may be at like an 8. I still don't think that my English is 100%.
Your English, yeah, but either is mine.
Way better, yeah. Well, maybe then not 5. Maybe like it was at like 4.
Okay,
And
so it's
now
like doubled or
doubled,
tripled
yeah,
since then.
for sure.
Okay, so you're in there and you're learning English at the same time. You're learning about the culture. You're experiencing new things.
I'm learning life.
Yeah, just
Straight
diversity,
up.
different, all kinds of shit going on.
Yeah.
You got hip hop playing in the background, which you liked already, and like all this stuff.
Oh my God, that was a summer when Rick Ross Hustling song was on. And when you're just like running around hustling and that song comes on, all of us servers were just like, fucking let's go. Every day I'm hustling. It was like a hymn, it was awesome. And then next summer I came and I went to work there right away.
Oh, so you go home at the end of the summer.
Yes.
And you go back to your life in
September,
Russia.
yeah.
When you go back to Russia during that time,
September,
what did you do at that, like back home?
I went back to school.
Okay.
I was in shock. I was depressed.
So you had such like an elevated sense of freedom, like personal freedom, all this exposure to this wild shit, listening to Rick Ross every day. I'm hustling after a guy just got his head stomped in by a bouncer.
Yeah.
And now you're just hanging out in fucking Siberia. Is that where you're from? No.
You had it right up until then. I'm in Kazan, which is, I don't know, just like middle of point of Russia, more towards European side.
So now you're back in Kazan, just depleted of fucking endorphins.
And also Russia fall is just rainy, cold. People are depressed. Everyone's like, don't bother.
It would have been the
don't
same
talk
in
to
New
me.
Jersey, trust me.
Maybe. Yeah. No, New York. Yeah, New York, New Jersey is still the same.
As like the same as Russia's, you're saying, like that time of year?
Yeah, maybe a little better in New York and New Jersey. Like I feel like it's New York, New Jersey, November, December. It's Russia, September, October. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And it was just very depressing, very gray, very boring, very...
No more Rick Ross playing in the background. Yeah, you're just back to like a mundane, like more...
Well, I came back, I had all the presents. I gave everybody away my presents. I like talked about my experiences. It was awesome.
And then you're like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I did have a gift for you. It was a lighter. But they took it. Sorry, man. I thought about you.
I risked everything for it.
Good thing they didn't send me to Egypt. Otherwise, they would have cut off my fucking hand.
Shit, yeah.
They just sent me to Atlantic City. All I did was get
God.
mugged.
Yeah. Damn. That's why I didn't go to Egypt. Fuck that.
So you give the gifts. So you're doing all that shit. So and
then it was just boring, and I was just questioning everything, and I didn't want to be there, and I was like, what do I do to never feel like I feel right now? And then next year when we went, it was me and two of the same friends that I had. One of the friends stayed there
the whole time.
Just after we left, after the summer, she stayed there.
Yeah, it's like when she went with you initially and just never went back.
Never came back.
But
home,
was she doing that was she allowed to do that, or she just dubbed her thing?
She's not allowed to do that.
Okay, she just didn't get on the plane.
Illegally, you just like you got into the country, and then you just figure out what you do.
That's it. Yeah.
A lot of people are doing that, and
she's still at the 40/40 club now, washing dishes or something.
No, I don't know where she is. I wish I could find her actually. Well, but we lost touch just a few years ago. We used to be in touch.
She's staying on the Black Horse Pike doing fentanyl.
Black Horse Pike, damn. That's super New Jersey.
Yeah. Eating a pork roll, egg, and cheese.
But that summer, I was this close to staying with her because I didn't want to go back home and experience the same I experienced when I went home in 2006.
Oh, so you're talking about the second time you came. Mm-hmm. So the second time you come back, you work at 40/40 Club.
I worked at 40/40 Club, and I worked at a Hard Rock Cafe as a hostess.
Okay.
And that was awesome too.
And then this ends. This summer ends, and then you were tempted on just staying.
Yeah.
But you did go home.
I did go home, yes.
So you went home a second time.
I went home a second time because it actually made me feel more depressed when I decided to stay, when I played with that idea. And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel good about this decision right now. I have to go home. So, and it felt easier, and I went home and I was glad, but this is when I decided that I'm never going to do anything that I don't want to do for the rest of my life. I want to choose where I want to put my time, my life, my focus towards, so that everything is meaningful. Because I don't want to, if I go back here, I better find something to pursue and just pursue the shit out of it. And I thought that was dancing, because I danced my whole life. So I went to look for jobs and castings, everything to do with dancing. And I just ate shit everywhere. Did not get cast for anything. And I was like, what the fuck? While I was doing music, rapping, and everywhere I would go and rap, I would get prizes and win shit. And I was just like, all right, maybe my life is trying to tell me something. Maybe this is the path to take. And then I started pursuing music. And that became just this beginning of another 10 years of my life that was fully committed and dedicated towards music. And that was awesome. And in 2008, I did not go to America. And my friend went.
So you skipped that year?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't need this anymore. I found me. I know what I want to do.
So you were home. Yeah, it showed you the way. You're like, I make music.
I want to do what I want to do. I want to get good at it. I don't want to go. I just focused on that. And then in 2009, I went.
Okay, so why at that point you missed it?
Because I was graduating from school, and that was the last year I could go.
Oh,
and and I could see my friends
that stayed here.
Yeah.
And at that point, did they start accumulating? More and more were just staying?
Yeah. More and more people were staying.
And then you're like, oh shit, those homies are out there in Atlantic City.
But I was like, I'm not going to stay. I want to go and see them.
In 09. This would have been the third trip in a 4-year span. Okay, so then you come that time and you link with them right away? Or?
Yeah.
And what are they doing at that point? Because they're not legally with the thing anymore, right? They're just out here living.
No. Well, one girl or maybe both of them actually got married, but just like to make papers.
Yeah.
So you have to pay like a shit ton of money and you make papers. I don't know if it's allowed to be on YouTube.
Well, it's
I'm
not like
sure
it
if I
was
can talk about everything. I'm not gonna say any names.
No.
That's what you do.
No, I think it's allowed.
Yeah. No, okay. It's a common practice. You just go find a husband. And one of them was working at the ice cream shop. And was just like a manager, you know. She's a very hard worker and always been that way. And she was just hustling away at that place. And the other one was actually a stripper. And she was making mad.
Yeah,
dope.
I would think that she would have been the more successful of the two.
She was making fucking stacks of
You
money.
came back and she picked you up from the airport in like a Porsche. She was like,
could
yeah, we're
have.
going to take you back to my fucking suite.
When I had...
And you're like, hey, remember that bottle service we used to do? We're actually going to go get the bottle service.
Yeah. When I had a birthday, she gave me a shower with a stack of dollar bills and just like...
Yeah.
It was fun.
So is that when you stayed too, though?
That's the year I stayed too.
She got you a job?
Yeah, I'm still working there. I stayed because at first I was like, I'm going to go back because all my music is in Russian. And I want to pursue music. I don't want to drop it. But then I was just like talking to my parents and talking to my grandma. And she was like, if you can, don't come back. And I was like, oof. And at the end of the summer, I decided that I'm going to stay. And then my boyfriend at the time stayed with me. And
Was he part of the same kind of work group thing that you were?
Well, we started dating back home. We came together and we both were supposed to go back, but then we both decided to stay.
But he was like on the same type of visa, I mean, like with you.
Yeah.
But working similar type of jobs, like on the same exchange.
He did, he was a cook in a restaurant. Then later he started working on a construction.
Right.
Wherever. And then we even forged documents to be able to work. We're just like Photoshop.
Yeah, maybe that one we shouldn't say on YouTube.
Yeah. See, I don't always know when to stop.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just fucking with you.
You'll just bleep it, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Nah,
let's
I'm
talk
just
about
kidding.
tattoos.
I'm just kidding. Nah, who wants to talk about tattoos? I want to hear about the fucking
Illegal
the
immigrant shit.
subculture of illegal Russian immigrants in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's interesting.
But
I'm around
we went
tattoos
through
all day.
like all that crazy shit back then. To think of, I'm glad that I went through all of this back then.
But did you guys just duck out too at returning at the time, or did you was there like a process for this
for
like staying?
We got married, me and him, and we applied for political asylum.
And then you got it.
But not right away. We didn't get it from the interview, and then we had a court hearing, and then we had another one, and then we had another one. So like 3 court hearings, and then we got it. And I just got my citizenship in 2019.
Wow. Well, congrats.
Thank you. And I changed my name legally to Jerrra Blues.
Did you? Well, because I think I remember you telling me a story about your name, Jerrra Blues, because you said when you used to break dance or something, your name was like Jerry or something. I don't know. Where did the blues come from?
Breakdance, our team was called Jet Mouse. And people would call us Mice. Our friends would call us Mushi. And that's Jerry from Tom and Jerry. I stand the way I stand, like with my tummy sticking out, whatever. And then when I started doing music, I changed it into Jerrra because I thought it sounded percussive and cool. And then blues was when I just when you take everything too far. Like I took music a little too far, and I was just like digging into deep roots of like music and rock and roll, and like blues felt like a family of or genre that speaks to me. And I felt that blues is like a last name that you take as like a musician.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Jerry Blues.
Jerrra. Jerry. Oh
but that's
God.
cool. So you, what was that? So you legally changed your name. Was that like a hard process or no?
When you get a passport, they ask you if you would like to. And I was like, hell yeah. And I was like, can I do 3 R's?
Oh, so you have the 3 R's.
I have the 3 R's.
That's interesting because it's not like a typical sequence in the English.
It's stupid if you ask me. It's stupid.
No, but
I regretted it almost immediately.
No, it's cool, but I just was wondering if they would like allow it because it doesn't typically exist.
You can have a number in your name if you want to.
Oh, you can?
Mm-hmm.
Well, didn't like Prince make his name a symbol?
Maybe. And also Facebook would still correct it.
What do you mean?
Like on Facebook, I cannot have 3 R's in the same name.
Oh, so you can't.
I have to like separate it into Jerrra Blues.
That's why your name is Jerrra Blues on Instagram, Jerrra Blues. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe there was like a reason, like you were trying to like be confidential or something, you know?
No, they wouldn't let it be.
Like you always have that, like I'll have like someone on there from, I went to like high school with like some chick or something. She's like a teacher now. Mm-hmm. And her name is like,
and she used to be a whore in high school. She
probably still is now. And it's like her name will be like, I don't know, like it's like your name was fucking Mandy, now it's like Lisa Space Ann or something.
Yeah, we're all a little bit of Mandy.
You just don't want those like those students to log on and just see you with that poofy haired duck face down in Atlantic City getting bottle service from you know.
I have those pictures up still. Shit.
I actually cleaned out all my shit at some point. I kind of wish I didn't. Yeah.
I kind of need to pee.
Yeah, let's rock it out. Let's pause.
Okay. Well, yeah, because coffee is dehydrating.
And so is whiskey.
And whiskey, yeah. You're drinking very brown liquids.
Yeah. Well, that's like where me and Mark were talking about how the whiskey looks like piss.
It does.
That's where I think
that's what you just pissed out.
Yeah, like literally. I
pissed out pure whiskey.
I'm like a whiskey piss guy or something.
Pisky.
One of my clients in the military told me that they call people a whiskey tango because it's like white trash, WT for white trash. So now me and Miriam always say that, like the whiskey tangos over there.
Tango?
Was like white trash.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you know, like military uses like code words for the things.
That's cool. Oh my God. So much excited stuff we just talked about down my memory lane.
That you need, yeah.
From the time, it almost feels like therapy here with you, Bobby.
Maybe I should retitle the podcast.
Therapy with Bobby Cupparo.
Yeah.
It's a couch, and you're there. And
well, Mark Wade referred to it as the casting couch.
I referred it to a therapy. Yeah. Everybody has different.
Yeah, your mind is like less guttery than his, apparently.
He sounds like such a nice. Calm
it would just be a little creepy if I was like, "Welcome to my casting couch, Jerrra." As if my analytics on YouTube didn't say that there was 80% men listening. No, I don't know. Probably. I'm just kidding. I would imagine. You know, I like showed Miriam a clip from the podcast, and she's like, "Oh, cool, 2 dudes chatting." You know?
Yeah, talking dude stuff.
Yeah, but I was like, "Well, what it is like? Yeah. Not now, but I mean, like when me and Mark, it was 2 dudes talking."
Who said not now? Hey,
oh yeah, true.
Come on.
I don't want to like misgender you now.
Listen, don't assume. I actually tattooed a person at one point on an eye on a Adam's apple, and then just like said something like "oh boy" or something like that, and the person was like, "What are you talking about? I'm a woman." And I was like, "Oh shit, sorry."
And you caught some real flack real quick, like?
No, it wasn't anything, but it was just like for a second I'm like, oh, fuck, I should probably ask. Like, I'm living in New York, I can't assume anything anymore.
Yeah.
That's why we have like in the form that you fill out, we have the pronouns.
Oh, is that right?
Just so that we don't have sticky situations.
I see.
You know?
Yeah.
It's better to know in advance how to like a fight that never happened. You know.
Yeah. I'm like, sometimes I forget to even do those forms. I'm so bad about that stuff. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, fuck.
When people request a tattoo from you, do they fill out the form or is it just an email kind of conversation thing?
Oh, you mean like the booking form? I thought you meant like the consent form. Oh, I don't even know. I just have like an assistant run everything. I just show up. I actually just look at my schedule like a weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the same assistant you had?
No, I have a new assistant that I've been working with for about a year, and she's like it's her actual career. It's like what she does. Oh, so she's an assistant for artists, and I think other people too, like Microblader, like
Yeah.
anyone who needs like an actual assistant. Like she has
That's
a whole
cool.
business. It's like 1066 Solutions or something is what it's called. But she just does that.
That's
So it's
awesome.
not like, because I used to like, you hire like a college kid.
Like an intern.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I mean,
They don't care about it.
you can't pay them enough for them to
For them
care.
to care, yeah.
And then they don't care enough because it's just like a transitionary quick pocket money job while they're like in school or something, right? So it's like it never really works in my opinion, because you're not getting quite the quality you want, because if you're going to pay someone for that quality, it'd be too expensive, or if they cared enough, they'd probably get a real job. Like if they were,
and that person, that's what they do, and that's why
this is why,
she
because
just has,
and
like,
she
a
has
bunch of
probably a
clients
bunch of
the same.
clients. Yeah,
It's
so
like a system.
She probably just works an 8-hour day on her computer, just answering emails for everyone who's her client.
Yeah.
So when you put all that together, it's like a whole day's work, I would
Yeah,
imagine,
yeah.
like anyone else working a
rather
job.
than a part-time kind of here and there
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And then she's just doing it for, say, 10, 20, I don't know how many people. It doesn't matter, because mine's done so fucking quick and good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So it's like, for me, it's just worth it.
I'm gonna have to do something like that eventually.
I can link you with her too. I mean, she's good.
Right now, it's the first time I actually need it, because we have a manager who does it for us at the shop. So at the shop, I never have a problem with booking. It's all going through the manager. We have 3 of them, and they're all great. But when I started like venturing out and doing guest spots and like that type of stuff, then I have to do it, and I hate it, and I'm not good at it, and I forget things, and I miss consults, or I forget to book them, and da. So it would be nice to eventually, if this gonna keep being a thing, because I'm trying to understand like what is the next step in career, kind of like, do I want to stay at the shop, or do I want to move on and be like a free agent and be more of a traveling artist, or what? I don't know yet.
Well, that was always my issue with the like getting so intermingled with the shop, because I always felt like I never fully moved in. And I don't know if that's like a flaw of my own, but like anytime I worked somewhere, I was never like committed. I would always leave one foot kind of out the door, and I never wanted to be intermingled with like the system at the shop, because I felt like I wanted to be able to just pack my bags, go, and just transition real quick to the next spot without having to like ask for this. Or you always, you hear people getting like problems with their deposits tied up here, and now they have to like eat them at the new place or whatever have you. So I always just like prepared for like dipping, which says something maybe about my character in a sense, but also in the sense that I always kind of knew that I wanted to do my own thing,
Maybe, yeah.
But that's why I like having the assistant too now, like on my own. And I think, obviously I own my own little place, but wherever I worked, I always kept it that way, Yeah. And I like my assistant because she actually just charges by the hour. So like if you have a slow month, she doesn't, which might even be good for someone like you, because if you're just like working with her and you're on her radar, like if you don't travel that month, she might have worked for like 2 hours, I don't know, it might be not. Yeah. So it's like proportionate to like the load.
That makes sense.
So if I'm getting like mad emails and getting mad bookings, then she's making, getting more, but like rightfully so, because it's like a lot more work, and then I'm getting more work, but if it's like a slow month, it's like, it's not much.
I'm trying to figure out right now what to do with like my booking, with my marketing, with my everything.
Yeah. Because it's a lot nowadays with like all this shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like almost like there's like jobs within the job.
So many jobs within the job.
Now you got to become like a videographer and like a fucking...
I have to make reels.
You know what though? The thing about all this stuff is I feel like, and I know a couple like media guys or guys who do that stuff, and like I think there's a whole market for people to get tattoo specific. Like I run a company that does your social media, starts you a podcast.
What?
Like anything. Like, no, I'm saying that there's a market for this, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like
somebody should do it.
Yeah. Like we'll make you promo flyers, start you a podcast if you want,
maybe you should do it.
Yeah, well, maybe I should make this company, you're saying.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Like just an all-in-one package for like everything involving, like there almost needs to be like a tattoo management company or something, you know what I mean? Like,
but you know what you're risking here, turning into something corporate. and you don't want to do that.
Yeah,
probably.
well, that's why I'm just hypothetically saying it, because then you're like, you should do it. And like, really,
Oh,
I'm
you're
not
putting
gonna
it
do
out
that.
to an existence. Somebody else would do it, and
That's
then maybe
what
you'll
that's what I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
I'll invest with you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know
being
that
an
I.
investor at something like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that
Like,
would be cool. Because
right.
well, the thing with someone like that is, yeah, you need to have the market trust, right? Because like you can't do like that's like these non-tattoo guys. You know what I'm talking about?
That's
like
with
get out of here,
screwing and everything,
fugazi shit. Well, yeah, but I feel like it doesn't really stick. Well, at least with me, I'm like,
Yeah.
unless you were like out here like elbow deep in blood doing some tattoos. I don't know
What kind
that
of tattoos are you doing?
you know,
Yeah,
doing
I
those
know.
40. I'm doing those 40-40.
Okay. Extreme tattoos. You get really
Hanging out with
deep.
Jay-Z, getting all bloody. You know what I mean?
I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
couple Belvedere vodka bottles over the head real quick.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I know.
I
So
love it. Sean Foy podcast. He's describing a dick to you. And he's like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I know exactly what you mean.
I do, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, good. That's the skin, between the ball sack and I know.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Might have seen it.
I've seen it a couple times, So wait, so let's go back. So you stay in America, right? 09.
Mm-hmm.
On this is your third deployment over a 4-year span.
Yes.
So you're in AC. You stay.
Mm-hmm.
You get married.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? When do you move to New York?
That fall.
Okay, so you stay in AC.
Yeah, we have
You and
a
your
friend-
husband just hanging around AC.
Well, not a husband at the time yet, but
Boyfriend.
a boyfriend. Yeah.
Okay.
We were in AC for a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
I got fired from my jobs because my work
Again?
visa ended, and they were like, "You gotta."
They had the talk.
They didn't want to fire me. They didn't have the talk.
No.
But they were just like, "Well, you're
Work
leaving,
visa
right?"
ended. We're gonna hire a new indentured servant from Russia.
Plus, there's no season. After summer in
Yeah.
Atlantic City it's a seasonal job. There's
Yeah.
nothing happening. It's slow. They had like one server running the floor
Yeah, 'cause who goes to that dump?
in the winter. Well, they do.
I know,
when
I'm kidding.
There's, but oh my god, that 2006 summer was the craziest summer of my life. I feel like so I lived with my friends, and then I lived with this boy from Kazakhstan who left, and then I was trying to find my friends, but they got kicked out of the place where they stayed. I was trying to find them, and I couldn't because we had different jobs. And I went to live with one of my coworkers from 4040. They had a place in the ghetto-est ghetto of Atlantic City, just the asshole of Atlantic City. And they were like, we're in New York for a couple of days, but you can go stay there. The person who lives there, name is this. Just tell them you're my friend. And I was like, all right. So I showed up at the doorstep with my stuff. And the dude is like, you're her friend? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right, cool. And he lets me in, takes me to that room. That room is just shit. There's shit everywhere. You
Like
think
literal
girls,
shit?
You think girls live clean? It was underwear, food, crumbs, everything, everywhere. Just food on a bed. And I was just like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, you want to sleep on a couch? I'm like, yeah, that's sure. That's fine. So I stay on a couch. They don't come from New York. A day they don't come. 2 days they don't come. I don't know what's happening with them. I can't reach them. Later I found out that they were stealing from Macy's, and they were in jail.
Damn, they were in the tombs in New
Yes.
York. Just
The Macy's has their own jail, apparently.
I mean, the Macy's jail sounds like the jail you'd want to be at.
Like, right?
Hanging out with like Santa Claus.
I don't know. It was summer, so no Santa Claus. I stayed there. There was no food in the fridge, but there were a bunch of liquor bottles. Vodka, tequila, rum, everything. Just not good kind. And a bag of it's sugar candies.
Mm-hmm.
Just like different little things. So that was my dinner. I had like a glass of rum with candy.
Mm-hmm.
I got shit-faced. I was smoking at a time. It was raining outside. I went on a stoop to smoke. The door shut behind me. I was the only one home
Oh, and you got locked out?
in the rain, smoking a cigarette, just like
How'd you get
drunk.
back
The window was open.
Oh, okay.
But I had to climb there in the rain, drunk in flip-flops. And it's like a third story.
That's like one of those situations where I would have flicked the flip-flops off and just went barefoot.
Yeah.
Tarzan
I don't remember how I did it, but I got in somehow. It was just like a movie, you know. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And then they came back and they told me a story, how it was all crazy. And then we all went to work and we hung out.
So they came back with like New York, like tales of New York. Like they were like telling you about this place.
Yeah, I came.
And you haven't been yet? You didn't even consider going yet?
No, I was in New York a couple of times, but
okay.
I didn't like New York.
Oh, okay.
I never wanted to hang out in New York. It's like all these people were always so crazy about New York City and just like, and I just never saw it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking they came back with like the word from New York. Like they just came back like lipping off about like, oh, it's cool. And you were just like, whoa. And you were like sitting there like by a campfire listening about New York.
It wasn't like that.
Oh, okay.
I came home from work and they were in their room sitting there just like heads down talking. And I walk in and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, we were in jail. What? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to have a court hearing, da-da-da-da-da. They like tell that. I'm like, shit. And then we go to work together and they were like model looking chicks, very cute, very hot. And they were like this with our managers. And we all went to like hang out after work and we came to their place and we made a party and the landlord kicked us all out. We're all on the street now. And our managers were like, you can stay at our place because we're going to New York for a week. And we stayed in their place. So for me, it was just chaos.
You were just ping-ponging around Atlantic City.
Insane. And in their room, in the place where they were staying, there were mirrors on the ceiling above the bed.
People were just watching themselves fuck.
Yeah. That's the first time I've ever seen something like that. I was like, whoa. Okay. And they had a laundry unit and everything. And
why do you think they had mirrors on the ceiling?
I think probably a room in the place that all rooms come like this, probably. I don't know.
That's what they told you, huh?
No, but I'm just assuming. I don't know.
So how did you get to New York?
Yeah, they were like,
yeah,
it's normal. Everybody has that. What? You don't have that? Weird.
And then, so now you're at this new place in Atlantic City.
Yeah, that was still, it was me jumping back into 2006 because I remembered that something crazy also happened. But then later, after they left and I found my friends and we stayed in the place that had bed bugs. And then from there we moved to another time and then we all went home. It was crazy. That was 2006. No more 2006 talk. In 2009, I moved to New York. We moved in with a friend of ours. In Kings Highway, and then we lived there for like a month, and then I had a fight with his roommate and we all had to leave again.
They had the conversation with you.
He had the conversation with me, yes. I don't belong anywhere. That's why you can't take me anywhere nice.
Well, I mean, it's cool because it's like a common theme that I find, right, with tattoo artists.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard to fit in, yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, and then you find yourself among people like you and you're like, oh, I fit in. I feel right in.
Yeah. And then there becomes like a subculture within that. And then you're like, wait, these people are conformists within a non-conforming thing.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I think maybe we all just overthink shit sometimes. And we just like make shit up because our mind is just set to complicate, just like split it into 2 and split into 4 and split into 8.
Yeah. I wonder if that's got to be something evolutionary, like evolutionarily.
We always want more. We always want progress. We want, like, it's like you level up in the game, you finish that level and you're like, yeah, but it doesn't
And
end.
humans are the ones who created the game, right? So that's like what we crave.
Yeah. And next level, there's going to be more zombies and like you will only have one gun or like the doors will be.
Well, not in Texas, you'll have more than one gun.
Yeah. And more doors and more cars and everything big.
If you only have one gun and you live in Texas, like,
it's not serious. I remember in Texas. Oh, wait. I heard it on a stand-up somewhere recently where they tried to upsell you a gun. You don't need a pistol. You need a fucking rifle. Let's go on and show you.
Well, you need one of each minimum. The pistol, rifle, shotgun. Then of course you need a lever action, and then you might as well get a bolt action. It's like a pump shotgun, semi. You know.
I remember the first time I went and I saw a gun store, and I was just looking at different guns, and a dude came over to me and he was like, "What are you looking around for? Like, what do you want? I'm gonna show you what's good, what's not." It's like, what? I'm like, no, I'm just looking like in a museum. It's like, check this one out. Like, just pulls it out.
That must be weird because I don't think you can just do that in other, like in Russia, can you? Or?
No.
But people must have hunting weapons, no?
Maybe, but I lived in the city, so I wouldn't know.
But nobody had any kind of gun there.
Legally, no.
No, but they had them illegally.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Russia in the 90s was very high criminal activity because there were a lot of loopholes in the law because it was practically a new country, a new set of laws.
Right. It was like the same geographic space, but it had like a new regime.
Not the same geographic space too, because a lot of republics
because the Soviet Union was one region essentially, right? And people moved around that region, and then when it went back, didn't some people get like relocated and stuff too?
Well, because Soviet Union was like a country.
That's what I mean. It was like one.
And then, Prague, Finland, like even Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, it all became like a separate country.
Like as one. Well, first it was all one, and then when it went back, did they go back to how they were before, or did they like redefine boundaries?
A little bit redefined, and I think that's where the Crimea situation is.
I see.
Of the question whether it's Russian or not, because historically is this, historically is not. It's like whatever.
Yeah. Just constant human conflict.
Yeah. People like to fight. That's why I do martial arts. It's like nobody is nicer than the person who just got their ass kicked on a mat.
Just humbled.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't need this anymore. You're just like, I'm too tired to fight.
Yeah, you like shake. Oh, so like you're saying after two people get into a combat with each other, when they're done, it's just like you have nothing left to be loving because you literally just laid it out there. Like literally.
Yeah. You don't want to fight with anybody. You don't have that kind of energy.
You just spent it all.
Yeah.
You're like for real.
And it's very humbling too.
Sure.
Because you think you're tough or big shit, and then you get hit in the face one time and you're like, everything's in perspective. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
And
how long you been doing that?
I did Muay Thai first in 2016, and I was doing it on and off since then. Because when I started tattooing, I started doing it less because tattooing took up all of my time. And
say that again for those in the back.
I started tattooing while I was still doing music, and I thought that I'm gonna do my own schedule so I'll have time to do music.
Yeah.
Guess what?
People always ask me, why did you start tattooing? And I was like, so I have no job and don't have to work. And now I work more than everyone I know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I remember just thinking that I will have time.
Yeah. Now you have no time and your wrist hurts.
Yeah, everything hurts.
But you also have the coolest job in the world.
Yeah, I think so. For me, anyway. I love what I do. It's the most challenging thing. It's always so challenging, and
ain't that the truth?
Always humble yourself. Always look and just like, I ain't shit. And then you do something. I always celebrated like the first 500 tattoos I did. I feel like I celebrated. It's like, yes, at the end of it, that I fucking finished it.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
One time I had all my portfolio out on my floor in the living room, like pictures of everything I did throughout the years, and like I almost got like emotional. I was like, it's crazy. I was like, when did I do all this? Like, where was I?
Oh my God.
Like I almost just feel like a little like miniature me inside of like a vehicle controlling me, and I'm just like out there, and I was making these tattoos, and like all of them have like a story. And you know what's even more interesting is like sometimes I'd be like on my way to something like very unprepared, and I even felt that way today, right? Like coming here, like it was like a little bit late, laggy, like running around, like, woke up tired, and I was like on my way, and I was like, that's awesome. Because if you think about like, I would look at like what was maybe my best tattoo and be like, the day leading up to that tattoo might have been horrible. I might have been like arguing with somebody or stressed or unprepared for the day. But I'm like looking at this in my portfolio right now, and I'm like, this is like the best one. But I couldn't find parking in New York City. Beeping at somebody. There was construction. I was 20 minutes late. I was sweating. I was hungry while I was doing it. But it's still amazing. So like sometimes I try to separate myself from thinking I need to achieve the perfect moment for something great,
There's never a perfect moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and it might even just be something in me that like has this expectation that like the ritual leading up to something needs to be like perfect. Or like I need to do it this way. Like I need to be early and get a cup of coffee and be like prepared and like maybe have meditated and be relaxed. But like some of my best shit wasn't under those circumstances.
I always say that I do my best work when I'm hungover.
Yeah, exactly.
When I'm in a survival mode.
Yeah.
I'm almost automatic. I'm just like going through the motions. Don't overthink it. Don't make too many decisions.
Yeah.
Just straight to the point. And then you're looking and you're like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh, that looks nice. Okay.
And I don't know about you, but I could look at every tattoo that I've ever done, like right now, a picture of it, and kind of almost like empathetically grab on to where I was. Kind of like we were mentioning earlier about like when I think we were talking about when you're listening to a song and
or
it, like
smell.
Or a smell. Yeah, I could look at each tattoo and be like, oh, I was at that phase and like that's what I was doing and that's who I was as a person.
You know what's strange sometimes when I have people come back who I tattooed a few years ago, I may not remember their name, but I remember their story. I remember where they work. I remember what we were talking about, the movie.
Do you remember their pheromones?
No.
I'm just kidding. That would be so creepy. Imagine if you just like went up to your client and you were like, oh, you. I know that your skin takes the teal real good.
Oh,
you know?
my God.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God.
They're like, hey, you're here for the 3:00 consultation with Jerrra? And they're like, yeah. I got a lot of stuff to talk to her about. And they're like, no. Just stand over there in the corner. She's going to come smell you real quick.
Just rub on that pillow. Yeah. We'll carry it to her. She'll smell it and she'll decide whether today's the day.
That would be like the new hipster tattoo gimmick, maybe.
Really? What? The pheromone?
Yeah,
tattooing?
Because we already went to like the spiritual thing. We get like a sound bath. Like I've seen people do some shit like that. And like I'll just like read your soul and maybe your palm and do a couple tarot cards. And I'm just going to like tell you the design that you warrant, right? Ooh. That's already happening. That's already happening. But I'm talking about now, like where you just like show up to the tattoo shop and I just give you a good smell, like and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I know what you need now. It's
like, I get a little bit of a mandala lilac on a skull. How's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
A cherry.
Imagine. You're gonna have a more extensive waiver.
Yeah. It's gonna take you should send out the waiver a day before.
Yeah.
That extent,
yeah.
Just a folder thick like that.
This will be something that occurs on like the backswing of cancel culture. Like when things get lit again, like just doing like smell tattoos. Like,
you think that's gonna happen? It's like a swing. And then
everything is it not?
In a way, I guess, yeah.
Everything is on a flow. I feel like you can almost see it in the ocean, like just the.
For sure, waves.
Like I think the waves is just like the natural order of like existence, right?
Yeah. One day you're in the good spirit, next day you're tired.
It happens on a personal level.
And on a cultural level, on a fashion. Yeah. Music, trends, everything come and go.
Fashion.
Yeah. If you look at like a culture of the 90s, it was very, very free and like whatever, right? After 80s, which 80s was a little bit more strict.
Yep.
Because like after 60s, 70s, the hippies, that was wild.
And think before that, the 50s, the high and tight fades militant in U.S. history and very bootlickery, you know, like, and then all of a sudden the 60s and the 70s was like a free, you know.
I wonder if Russia is going to have the American 50s after this war.
Sure.
Russia and the Ukraine.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of things are dependent on things like that.
Which 50s was good for America.
How so?
Economically, just like, and people were grateful, you know, like after you've survived something shitty like that, you're more appreciative of everything. That's why it's like so lovey-dovey.
Well, me and Sean actually talked about that when we did the podcast. We were saying, he was talking about it was like a correction, and he said it, and I felt like we didn't get into it enough, and like I think what he meant was like that humans just endure something, and like from whatever side or just empathetically sad or shitty situation, kind of, you know, resets humans' perspective to just be like, when things were good, they were great.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And
I hope so. I hope so.
I hope so too.
I mean, I know that, Ukraine after that war is going to flourish and blossom, but I hope that it happens to Russia too. If they get rid of the dude.
Yeah.
Well, the dude ain't forever.
No, nothing is forever. That's the thing. I mean, we've seen evil before,
Yeah.
It's not like the first time, but it's,
But the thing is, like, you would think that we would have learned a lesson when we saw it, and then it just happens again, and you're like, how did we?
Yeah. Well, my opinion on that is that a lot of that stuff links down to like the ultimate human ego, like it's just until as a species we literally conquer that.
That's why it's very important to have people close to you be honest with you.
Yeah. Let's circle right back on to that.
And you got to have someone next to you to be like, no, you're wrong. This is a bad idea.
Because without being honest, there's no lesson to be learned.
There's no perspective.
Yeah. But then it kind of goes back to like we were saying before, when you don't have some form of adversity or struggle, then you don't learn either.
You don't grow, yeah. You don't
so
progress.
Then if we get to the point of perfection where you're so honest with people around you that they no longer need to go through that adversity because you've conditioned the situation to be right.
People will find a way to fuck shit up.
Yeah, but
I think that's also the lag in the system is in us genetically.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to break something to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's why people do martial arts, because there is no war.
Sure.
People go and they do war. It's like a consensual violence.
Yeah.
Because you need that experience. You
Yeah.
kind of long for this physical contact.
Because that is built into the human code, I think.
We need that, yes.
And maybe for some more than others, but I'm just talking about like a general scope, right? Like, so you're saying you go there, you fight on this mat, you get that out of your system.
It makes me more comfortable with my own body. It makes me less afraid of other people.
Yeah.
Because because I've had so many altercations before I did martial arts. I had this guy who like took my wallet and returned me nicely and have a good night. After that, I had like a few situations on a subway. I also lived in like deep shit Brooklyn and like came home late and like had to cross that bridge on Sheepshead Bay. Whoever lives there know what I'm talking about. Super creepy. And and then you're just constantly afraid and you're thinking, what am I going to do? How is it going to feel? What if it hurts when they hit me? What if I don't know what to do? What if I hit them too hard and kill them? I don't want to kill anybody. And then you go and you just like, by going in contact with another person and let another person hit you, and you hit them back, and you find that medium, and you find flow, and you understand your body better, and you are not afraid of other people anymore, and you have that perspective, and you just like feel more confident and more balanced and more calm.
And then even literally more prepared to encounter someone nefarious.
Yeah. Less afraid for sure. Yeah.
So so it's like, yeah.
I highly recommend for everybody. I would recommend jiu-jitsu, and especially if your wrists don't hurt, because mine hurt. That's why I don't do jiu-jitsu. I tried it and I've done it a few times and I love it. It's so interesting. It's so cerebral. You learn so much, like a chess match. It's really interesting. But I rolled over my fingers a few times, and you just find yourself in that situation where I'm just like, I'm not confident in my joints, and I'm like, I don't want to risk
So you don't want to like rely on it too hard, because
there are so many like wrist locks and like leg locks, and like where even me trying to leg lock a person would put pressure on my wrist beyond of what I'm willing to take. Yeah. And I'm just like, I think your leg is stronger than my wrist. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Well, you're just considering that because of what you do for a living
exactly.
as well.
I can't be out of a job. Yeah. If I have to be, if I can't do it for 6 weeks, I can't work for 6 weeks. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I have mortgage now.
Like an adult.
I have to be an adult about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a cool story, from coming and living in the, as you described, the asshole of Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, in Atlantic City.
And then the asshole of Brooklyn.
Yeah. I like
to
assholes.
Owning a home.
I'm an ass person. Yeah. Oh my God. I love my house so much. I am just like walking around home and I'm telling my husband it's the best decision we've ever made.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
That's how I always felt. Like I liked living near New York City, but never in it. One time I had this like crazy idea. I was like to Miriam, like, we should live in New York. And she looked at me. She was like, hell no.
Absolutely not.
She was like, nope.
You see, you need that person to be like, that's a bad idea.
She was like, nope.
Yeah.
But she was cool with moving to Texas. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a ballsy action to take.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys went for it. And
we
it's
love
really
it.
Good. It's good that you took
Well,
the
we
risk.
always talked about moving since we met.
Really?
Just like because we were adventurous. We like traveling, we like going places and all that stuff. And we always talk about like one day we'll relocate. She would bring it up to me and I'd be like, no, I'm trying to build a tattoo career here. She does that voice where she imitates me. And I'm like, and then I said to her one day, we'll move when I feel like I can move somewhere new and almost make the transition professionally like seamless. Like when I'm at the point in my career where I could just like show up in a new city and almost just kind of step right in and like not have it like, I'm not going to like take a bunch of steps backwards and be like eating ramen.
Walk-in tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to be able to slide to a new location and just do what I'm already doing. The day I could do that, we'll do it.
And then you just felt that it was the right time. Right now, we got to go.
Yeah, when people asked me for papers to get into my favorite brewery in New York City, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that'll do.
So both of them happened at the same time. So, it worked out for us.
In 2020 was so hard. That was the year that really actually made me not want to be in New York. In the first place I went to was Texas. And I had a friend here.
Oh, you visited here?
In 2020.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This is where I ran away in June.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Where all the protests were happening. I just like booked a ticket for the following week and just like took a flight and went here. And I met up with a friend of mine who I met one time in my life.
Oh, wow. That lived here?
No.
Or not, it was West
She
Texas.
lived here. She lives here in Normandy. It's like a middle Texas between Houston and Austin.
Okay.
And I tattooed her one time in New York at Oncology. And we spent all day talking, hung out together. And then my friend came over and we went to a bar and drank till like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. We stayed in touch. And then a couple of years later, literally 2-3 years later, I just like, we all of a sudden started talking. I was like, I'm going to come. And she's like, all right, cool. And I came. We hung out in Austin and then she drove me to her ranch, a huge ranch with a lake and horses and wild pigs and fucking chickens and watermelons and everything. And we did acid and looked at the stars and rode an ATV and she showed me her guns and her baby. It was amazing. That was what I needed. I like really needed
Wow.
It was a really good soul searching moment. I was
and
like,
what
very
month in
conflicted.
2020 was this? Like
It's June.
June. Okay. So
It's
it's like
right.
3 months after the blast.
Yeah, but it was right as the George Floyd protests were ramping up, and it was.
Oh, and you were living over there, and they were just like rioting outside your house.
No, I lived in like a very residential neighborhood of Bushwick, so we didn't have anything crazy like that. But it was happening in just like a Manhattan and whatever.
Yeah, I remember it was happening near Love Machine over there in Soho.
Yeah.
Shit,
But
I heard
just-
helicopters and stuff.
It was just very shaky, and I'm very sensitive.
You
So
want to talk
you
about
just-
that? I'm so sensitive to that stuff. I mean, there was helicopters in New York City and shit.
New York City.
New York shitty. At least here, it's like I feel like a little more like, at least I can like carry a gun or something if I need to. Like over there, it just felt like very vulnerable. I had pepper spray and a knife with me all the times.
Yeah, and it was just and I was taking a subway. So I mean, I wasn't working. Actually, we didn't start working till July.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't really, but I was stuck at home, just painting, playing with my dog. If it wasn't for my dog, I wouldn't leave the house, honestly.
Yeah.
But I was having panic attacks. I was just like laying in bed and just like would start hyperventilating, and I would fight with my husband, and I was just like, we would get into these terrible fights because we weren't seeing eye to eye on everything that was happening.
Oh.
It was just like a lot of stuff that was going on, and I was just trying to understand, and just it was hard. So I was just like, I need to get out of here. I'm going to see Texas.
I'm going to Texas. Me and you had the same thought.
And I went here. It was awesome. I came back. I felt a lot better.
We went to Montana during that time. And I remember posting stories. I was like watching a fucking live band in a bar, just rocking out, everyone dancing. Like everyone in New York was like locked up in their apartment. Yeah. And I remember posting on my story and someone's like, "You asshole." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm in Montana, dude." Like, and then I remember going to the owner of the bar or like at the bar and I was like, "Man, you guys are like, this is like cool what you got going on here. You guys are keeping like the spirit alive." And the guy and I was like, no one has the masks, no one's doing any of that stuff. And he turned to me and he goes, "Yeah, we're gonna keep it that way." Like, you know what I mean? I was like, it was out in Montana. They didn't even know this shit was going on. Yeah. And then you go back to New York and you're like, holy shit. Yeah. And then I felt like here like was a little more like in the middle.
I hated the way they portrayed it in New York too, on the subways where they have a dude wearing a mask and it says New York tough.
Yeah. Okay. New York tough would have been like breaking into the subway and doing graffiti on the side of it or some shit. Not that. Yeah.
Like, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. What happened with that? Like,
yeah, that's where I was with all that stuff too, because I'm a rebel. So like whatever like anyone's telling me to do, like I'll literally just do the opposite on principle,
And I think that's why why I think it happens? Because they were trying to shame people into compliance and that never works.
Yeah, no. Well, you would know from like probably the Soviet Union and shit tried tactics like that.
And I'm weirdly enough like vaccinated from that, from that sort of thing. Yeah. Everyone
like you just got like a natural vaccine.
It's just like no.
Yeah. Don't tell me. Yeah, there's
something in me tells me that's not gonna go well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do. I noticed that with a lot of Cuban people too. Tend to share that sentiment.
Yeah. It's like you read one book and that's all you need. Just like read one book, look at a couple of pictures. Yeah. Like just fucking read a story.
Yeah. Or just listen to your feelings, like your gut.
How does it normally go when you're being shamed into compliance?
Well, even think about that like on a personal level, right? Like say you're in a relationship.
But it's like it's nothing wrong with wearing a mask. I'm not gonna shame you if you wear a mask. No. But I'm not. I don't want you to shame me for not wearing a mask.
Anytime anyone's using any kind of shame, right? Like I was gonna say, like if you're in a relationship and like your partner or something is like shaming you to do something that they want you to do, like that should be like a red flag of not being healthy. Yeah. That's like automatically like wait a minute. That's manipulative. That should be like you should be like running. So I just always am keen to that kind of stuff, and anything that makes me feel that way I want nothing to do with, whether it be at like a job, whether it be with like a friend, whether it be with a loving partner, even with a client, right? Like if you're manipulating me into doing something I don't want to do while I'm working, to me I just get my gut just tells me no.
Yeah, that's why I was fired from everywhere.
Well, I think that's good, because that you getting fired just was like kind of shaping you and nudging you towards where you should go. Yeah. So a lot of people, I think, fall short of listening to those feelings and then they just stop.
Or a lot of people don't have those feelings.
I think we were talking about that before we even started doing the podcast.
Yeah, not everyone is so in tune with their intuition, and not everyone is in tune with the way other people feel around them. Some people just like follow the rules, but they're better at something else. I'm not saying that my way is the right way. It's just that's my way. That's how I perceive reality.
Yeah, but I think and I think we get to spend a lot of time around people potentially that are like that more because of what we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that's what kind of like bothered me the most about the last couple of years, is that I felt like tattoo artists are kind of a collection of these types of people that are a little more outcasty potentially, or maybe more in tune with something like deeper within, and because of that they don't conform and they find themselves in an industry like what we do. Yeah. But then to see some people just like fully conform in a way made me feel like that was like the opposite idea of like being artistic. Yeah. Creative. But I also think at the same time, like when you throw in fear into the mix, I think it's kind of like a fight or flight, maybe. Maybe some people just, like, maybe it has an adverse effect and they flee.
Well, and that's why governments use fear on people, because it's easier to predict people's human behavior when they're scared.
Yeah, and I mean, you would probably know better than other people, just specifically because Soviet Union itself used those tactics.
I didn't live in
I know you
Soviet
didn't live in
Union,
it, but your understanding of its history
Mhm.
is much deeper than per se mine.
Yeah.
Unless I decided to study it or whatever. But I would think just growing up somewhere like where that had happened.
Yeah, and also but it's so interesting, that there are so many mind manipulating tactics that are in place by governments to manipulate their people, and that we can observe live right now. Even like people who, for example, are buying into Russian propaganda, who live in Russia.
Yeah.
It works so well.
Well, it happens in America right now.
It happens everywhere. It happens in China. It
Yeah.
happens in every country. And it's just certain things, I think, it's just human, certain things are unplanned. Some conspiracy theories are just like, that's just too smart. It didn't go that way. Somebody fucked up. Someone made a mistake. It happened, so they figured it out. But certain things have been implied for decades. They know the outcome. They know human psyche. They know how to manipulate. That's how social media works. What they're showing you becomes you. What books they put in the front row of a bookstore, eventually this is what you're going to read. It's like right now, they banned books in Russia by writers who criticized or spoke up against the war. They put them in black wrappers and hide them in the back of the store. And in the front, they put like propaganda stuff and like everything patriotic and like stuff like that. And people who read, they will still find the stuff. And people who rebel, like kids, they will be looking for a black book.
Right.
They're not going to read that stuff in the front.
Sure.
But eventually, majority of people is going to read the front row books.
Yeah. Enough to sway the opinion.
Yeah. If you see it, it becomes a reality. It becomes norm.
I guess my gripe was the people who should be finding these black books. Sometimes I find, I think they started playing.
You're just disappointed that they're not looking for the right book.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the propaganda might have, like all evils do, they mutate. They started to like, okay, you should be looking for the black book, but we're going to make it seem like now we know that you're looking for the black book, but that's actually like worse. And now you should actually like, it's like a double, like
yeah. What is it? The double cross or?
Yeah. That's how I feel. And that's where I felt like it got like real twisted. You know what I mean? Like,
it makes me think a little bit about, have you ever read Ayn Rand? She's a writer from originally Soviet Union, from a Jewish family. They were like a pharmacist family or something like that. So they had the money in the Imperial Russia. After the revolution, they got taken everything away from them, because that's what you do. People who had are the evil. People who have nots are going to take everything away from you. Basically, that was the Russian Revolution. So they were poor, surviving, and she managed to get out of Russia to go to Chicago to visit a relative. And she managed to like get the permit, and she left and she never came back. Basically stayed here, married an actor, and started living in Hollywood, and was a screenplay writer. And then she started writing books, and one of her biggest books are The Fountainhead, which I think you're gonna love, and Atlas Shrugged. And Atlas Shrugged is a more famous one because it's like more political, and also Ayn Rand and her stories. She was like an active writer in like the 50s, were used for Republican propaganda, because everything she says is like very right leaning. But she says it because she's coming from a Soviet Union where the left took over everything and took everything from her family. Right. And she witnessed it, how if you wear glasses, you're the evil. If you are educated, you're bad. If you are hungry coming from the field, you get the job, you get the bread. Like, just inequality, equality forcefully created at the expense of someone who is educated or who works hard or like this and that. So she had that perspective, and when she came here, she saw the shift in America that was happening, and she wrote books about it. And Fountainhead is a book about an architect who was this rebellious nature, who wanted to build the way he wanted to build, didn't want to submit to the rules, didn't want to submit to anybody. And he had this like will and vision, and he was just going for it. And she creates these heroes who she looks up to. And it's just an amazing book, very inspiring. And it came to me at the right time when I was working at a Namaste bookshop, was a hippie, did hot yoga, was raw vegan, read books on all kinds of Hinduism, and like all of this happened. It's like all of the spiritual stuff, like meditation, psychedelics, and just like, you know, the regular shit. And I read her book, and it just like completely flipped me back over. It just, it was just like, oof, gave me such a different perspective, because one of the heroes from the book, not a hero, like an anti-hero, I guess, was posing as a good guy and was this like nice guy and sweet guy. But in reality, he was doing everything with like an ill intent, and was trying to make you weaker. It was trying to make you submit. And she was showing how all these who pose as sheep are actually want something from you. They're not real. They're not true. They're not honest. And then while I was still working at Namaste bookshop, I watched people come in pretending to be spiritual, pretending to be kind and open-minded.
It's like toxic spirituality. Yeah.
It's like,
it's a real thing.
You look at them and you're like, you're not what, it's like, I don't know, you just like feel on the inside, you all of a sudden see that it isn't real. It's just an image that you portray. And then I was just like, ooh. And interesting that book was given to me by a dude who wanted to like be my manager, because I was still doing music at the time. And I was trying to find contact with him, since it would be interesting to have a conversation.
No, but I agree. That stuff is like super interesting to me, and it's something I think about a lot too. It's like, if you're something, you should just be it. And if you just are it in its purity, then you just broadcast that naturally. And I think people accept you because you accept you. But I feel like a lot of people just latch on with their ego to a mirror, like to a projected version of themselves, and they do it for the reason is still egoic. Like, look at me, I'm spiritual, I meditate, I do this. But it's like,
or posting everything I ever did good. I support this cause. I support this cause. Virtue signaling.
It's a classic virtue signal.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't, like, if you just mean
like, I
it.
know people who send money to charity without saying
Yeah, because
anybody.
they truly mean what they're doing.
Well, because they see somebody in need and they want to help.
And they genuinely just want to help.
Yeah.
Period. They didn't want to help, and then they didn't want the dopamine hit that comes from telling everyone else they help.
Yeah, they don't want to tap on a shoulder for doing the right thing. Yeah. But I think it's also human to want the tap on the shoulder. It's also human, but it's good to be aware of it. It's good to remind yourself that you're not better than others for doing a certain thing.
Well, somebody else might not even be in the position at that moment to do something better, or maybe they just don't have an understanding of it. That's kind of my gripe sometimes with like a movement or something, like, or even just the statement simply like, you know, when people say like silence is violence, like that statement doesn't sit with me well, because by saying that, you're assuming that person has the same exact education as you do about the same issue at hand. Like, I think it would be better for someone who has literally no experience, no understanding of something, to remain silent until they feel well equipped enough to then weigh in. You know, like, if you don't know something about something, saying something ignorantly is way more dangerous and doesn't even help the original cause. You know what I mean? Because now they might be representing it incorrectly. So I would rather you remain silent until you're educated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if your cause is so fundamentally sound and actually makes sense, I think most good people will see the value in what you're saying and join you.
Yeah.
But by using some kind of like tactic to like push them into supporting you, even though they might not know anything about it, and then shaming them for not.
And then again, you get shame, and
it just doesn't
you feel
seem.
You have to shame someone into doing something.
It doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the original cause might not be right, but
It's usually a good cause.
Yeah, usually like the foundation of it is good because
it's
like
usually all happens for the good reasons, but then the results are always worse.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway. As long as I think we should just never be too sure about where we stand in a way. Like we should always be questioning.
Like the waves of the ocean.
Exactly, yeah.
You should be on adapting to the particular wavelength.
Yeah, and it's like I always was debating that with myself too. It's like, so what is good? To be like a principled person, like one of Ayn Rand characters who are principles, who just like are
like stick to a consistent set of principles.
Yeah, or being flexible, like adapting to different weathers.
I'm more flexible.
Me too. I feel like I'm more flexible, and I feel like it's you have to. It's like life is not rigid. You're not a structure. You're not a building. If you want to keep moving, you have to maintain.
Well, think about things that you can observe literally in nature. The wind, the water, the tides. You know, even when you construct a building, like a skyscraper is made to flex. So that's like almost the law of nature. Things that are so rigid eventually are brittle enough to crack.
But this is when I'm starting to think also from like all these movements, you know, that are happening. You should be more open to like different waves and different trends and being accepting and understanding.
Yeah, well,
and,
the
like,
true definition,
everybody.
the true definition of accepting is exactly that.
Yeah, I'm gonna allow you be whoever you want to be.
Yeah,
as long as you allow me the same kind of
touche
freedom.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I think humans are, for the majority, just doing their best.
Yeah.
We're all just doing our best. We're just humans. We're all work in progress.
I think majority of people, yes. I mean, and even when people do bad, a lot of the times it's just like built into the natural code. Like someone stealing, or like, you know, you had said before, like people like you guys, a lot of yous were just, you know, migrating here and didn't have much. And so it's like, fuck it, I'm going to go steal a polo tee from Marshall's so I could go out tonight or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of lighters so I could. But the intention was to bring them back as gifts to your friends in Russia who have an American lighter, right?
Sure, but it was still a wrong thing to do.
Of
and
course.
It was.
But it might have been rooted in a good reaction, is what I'm saying.
It was rooted in growing up in a system where breaking it was encouraged. Everyone in Russia steals. Everyone in Russia is breaking the law. You just have to do it so that nobody knows. I was growing up in a country where nobody respects the law. And nobody respects the rules. That's
why is that? When you say nobody, you mean like literally, or
literally like in school, in class, it's okay to like, hey, what do you got? Okay, like you just like do that.
Oh,
like,
we did that shit here too.
But here it's like more.
You pretend not to.
You're more encouraged to like really do your own thing, kind of like be your own, be responsible, kind of. I don't know if in America, but in Europe for sure, it's more in like Germany and places that are more organized and more kind of like. I don't know. It's better. A structure is always better when people respect the rules. Rules should be respected. It's okay. You have to know the rules. You can break them here and there, depending on which field and whatever.
You know what's cool about you saying that? And then if you go look at your tattoo work, it's like literally the opposite. But I still think that the cool thing about that is
damn it, you're right.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool because if you think about it, I still think that you're able to be that free because of that statement. I think sometimes people think by breaking the rules, it means you need to have no structure. And like you literally just said, like you think that it's good. But then I think with that acceptance comes the contrary, where you're allowed to break it. I think I need
a structure.
Yeah.
In order to break it, you need it.
I almost think the more you break it, the more you need to understand it, maybe.
I think that's why, actually, in the chaos, it was when everybody was just like, everyone was losing their mind. I wanted to go somewhere calm and structural. Like I wanted to find place more rigid, because I feel like I can only be free and chaotic within the confines of a rigid structure. Yeah, because when everything is chaos, then nothing makes sense. Yeah, nothing's meaningful.
Well, now you can't even spend time being free because now everything's so chaotic. You have to spend energy on things just to survive. It's almost like being creative and free is a luxury of structure.
Absolutely, yes.
That might be it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that because when everyone is chaotic, I feel the responsibility that I have to now maintain structure, but I don't want to do it. I'm not good at it.
You're almost like a martyr of structure.
Yeah.
It's like you have to now because like if no one else is, someone needs to slide in.
Someone has to do it, and I don't want to be it.
I actually feel like that happens because I would go with like Miriam to the airport and she would like do all the like, oh, we need to go to this gate. We need to leave at this time. We need to do that. And I would just be like, okay, like behind her just doing it. And then she'd be like, you know, I'm the one doing everything. Or like when the city, like we have to get on the J train to the L, you know, and like she did all that and I would just follow her. But then when she's not there, I would be with a friend and I'd be doing all that. And he would just be behind me like,
somebody has to.
And then I'm like, yeah, I'm the one filling that role, even though it seems like when I'm with her.
Somebody has to. You cannot just have chaos or just structure. You need both. And both have to respect each other.
It's like the yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang, yeah. That's why this too has to stop fighting. This too needs to make peace and understand the value.
And you need both.
You need both. There is value in both.
There is great value in both. Yeah.
Damn right.
Touche. Should we wrap this thing up? I gotta pee again.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll end. We'll go enjoy the comedy show.
Yeah. Let's have a haha show. That was good.
Well, thanks for coming. I'm glad we got to talk about everything besides your tattooing, which is perfect.
Fuck that.
Welcome to my, as you now coined it, my therapy couch.
Yes, I love the therapy. I would like to do it more regularly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very therapeutic and healing.
Let me know. I'll get you on my my weekly schedule. We can meet via Zoom and I can start telling you about your fears and we can dive deep into your childhood.
I'll tell you about my fears. We didn't even start that conversation.
Well, for next time.
Yes.
Thanks again. Where can the people find you?
Find me under the bridge later today.
On Cesar Chavez.
On Cesar Chavez by the soup kitchen, the cenote. But the Instagram, geez. Jerrra draws and Jerrra Blues. She does those two things.
Hell yeah. Later. Deuces. Peace.